Yo, yo, yo. What up? It's Tuesday night. It's 8:30. You know what it is. Hockey Happy Hour coming at you only on A2D Radio. We got live reactions to the Canadiens and the Flyers. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth with the future of this organization, with some of the moves that have been made recently over the last couple weeks, and some of the play from some of the young guys that have been on the ice. We got a lot more to talk about. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, tell your friends to do the same thing. Let's go.
Full house.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Oh, come in. It's almost time.
Are going live right now to the Canadiens and the Flyers as they battle it out to see who will be sitting at the bottom of the standings here. Very worthwhile contest right now. Tied at 1 apiece. Flyers currently on a power play, which did they score on, or did that just run out of time? Did Frost score on that power play?
Yeah, that was a power play goal.
Okay. So,
right, the Flyers just scored on the power play? Just now?
No. Earlier in the game with Frost.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. No, Rangers just scored on a power play just now, too. So 4-2 now.
Gotcha. And the Hockey Happy Hour, as always, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal. He's got a great team over in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. If you got any aches and pains and you need to get that taken care of, then go hit up the doc. Go to www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Schedule an appointment. Their pros will take care of you. You won't have any more aches and pains after you go see them. And we dive into the poll question brought to you by Baggio's Bread. If you got any big events coming up in the near future, or if you got a big Easter celebration that you want to get going and you live in the Mount Laurel area, or you're not too far away from the Mount Laurel area as well, you can head over to Baggio's Bread. They've got some of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. And you mentioned A2D, you get 10% off of your in-store purchase. It's definitely worth it at the end of the day. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And so with that, we take a look at the poll question, and the poll question for today is: recent actions have restored faith in the organization for the Flyers. Agree or disagree? I know that there might be some people who believe that there needed to be a rebuild well before this. Other people believe that now things are going in the right direction. Some are probably in that pessimistic mode of who gives a shit? This team's fucked no matter what we do. And with that, I'll leave it to you guys. Where are you on this spectrum? Are you on the agree or are you on the disagree?
I'll go first. First of all, boys, great to be back. Maddie, great to hear you without a lag. First of all, that's right. Probably the big thing. I don't have to wait 4 seconds to hear you reply. I'm going to agree with this poll a little bit here because, and the reason behind it is they're making the changes in the front office that need to be made for the most part. I'm sure there's probably going to be more to come. They just released the news that David Scott's going to be retiring at the end of the year, so he's going to give up his part of the Flyers, and somebody else is going to take over. So apparently the guy's been around the area a lot longer. He apparently is a Flyers fan, and he wants to help bring this team back to glory. But the biggest reason that I'm regaining some faith in this organization is the young guys that have been coming up and have been producing early on here. Guys like Tyson Forrester, who I don't think has really had a bad game since coming up. Noah Cates having a fantastic season as he continues to shine. Cam York, I think, is having a pretty good season. Sanheim on a point streak. Farabee's starting to come back. He's starting to play really well. He's on a 5-game point streak. I think he's got 4 goals in that 5-game span as well. So, this team has played really well in the last few games, and most of it's from the young guys. So, yeah, my faith is getting restored.
Well, first of all, welcome back, Brian. I was stoked to hear that you'd be rejoining us this evening, and I'm glad everything's going well.
Yeah, it's going, but I appreciate that, man. I really do.
Definitely back to being with the fam. I'm going to disagree to this poll, but maybe not how you think. In terms of recent actions, they've restored my faith in the organization. No, I disagree. I never lost faith.
I like it. I dig it.
I am going to remain neutral on this. Okay. And the reason I'm going to remain neutral is because they've made different moves. And you know what? I don't know if they're the right ones or not, because I want to see first before I make any comments. I would say this. I think they're going in the right direction now, that they've gotten rid of some of these knuckleheads that have been running the team for a while. So now, have they brought in the right people? That I don't know. If I hear one more time that they want to trade Carter Hart, I'm going to sit there and just pound my table over here and say, why would you trade a franchise goalie? You build around a franchise goalie. The man is 24 or 25 years old.
24.
24. He's 24 years old. If it takes 3 years to rebuild, he's going to be 27, which is the start of his prime. Why would you get rid of a franchise goalie? You build your team inside out, not outside in, inside out. You start with your goalie, you get a solid defense, and then you bring in your scorers. That's how you build a hockey team. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't trade a franchise goalie.
Brad, he's looked the part recent too over this past 5-game winning streak for the Flyers, and he's not turning 25 until August.
Yeah.
Ted, I said I think they're heading in the right direction, but I want to remain neutral as far as whether I think that they're definitely doing the right thing. I think they did the right things in getting rid of the guys. I just don't know whether I would like to see them get rid of all these guys that have been with the team for a million years, like Clark and Holmgren and all those guys, and start bringing in some real hockey people and stop worrying about who played for the team when they last won the Stanley Cup 50 years ago, or when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals 40 years ago. I mean, it's time to bring in some younger guys who've been in the league and know the league a lot better. And until they do that, it's not that I'm not going to have faith in the organization. I'm not going to. I'm just going to sit here with looking and saying to myself, I don't know if they're. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, they haven't done enough to me to if I was a Flyer fan, to restore faith in the organization. To me, they've done enough to say, okay, at least we've done something right. Okay, we got rid of guys who have screwed up the team. Okay, now do we have the right guys in place to stop screwing up the team?
Well, I will say that in lieu of your neutrality, I have decided to rename you, Brad. From this point forward, I'm going to call you Mr. Switzerland. That's what you're going to be called from this point forward. That's what you shall be.
Well, I mean, I kind of support the fact that it's hard for me, if I was a Flyer fan, to have faith in the organization right now, because if I was, I'd be pretty disgusted right now, and I wouldn't be sure that they're actually doing the right things. Show me a situation where you've picked up a few first-round picks over the summer. Okay, and I'm not saying you have to get McDavid. Okay, not McDavid. I'm sorry. What's his name?
Bedard.
Bedard. Yeah, thank you. I'm not saying you have to get Bedard. Okay, but show me that you've moved out some of these older players who need to be out of here. okay, and get guys that are going to be on the same timeline as everybody else. Okay, and after you acquire that talent base, then go out and bring in some veterans. The veterans they have right now, if they can get rid of them and get some solid draft choices for them, I would wholly recommend that they do that. And if you don't make the playoffs next year, get over it. Okay, it's going to take a year or two for you guys to get yourselves back to being in the playoffs and reopening the window for the Stanley Cup. It's not going to just happen right away.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you got guys coming back from injury as well next year. You got Cam Atkins who's going to be back. You got Sean Couturier who's probably going to be back. It's two big names. It's not in this lineup right now.
But you know what? I would do as soon as they get on the ice, I would trade them.
Cam maybe, but I don't know if I'm
Cam
trading
especially. Cam has never really been a healthy guy in the NHL. He's always been a really supreme quality player. Okay, but he gets hurt every year. He's like the new Marian Gaborik of the league. The big star that never plays when it matters.
Yeah, but his leadership ability though, I would probably wait till the trade deadline, but I would put him on a line with a couple youngsters and let the youngsters learn from him, and then go from there.
You think?
Yeah.
But will he play? That's the problem. You want him to play though. He's not playing. He's never on the ice. That's my problem with him. It's not his ability or his leadership. It's none of that. It's just that he can't stay healthy.
Yeah,
this has been going on for a long time with Cam.
I would still try and wait and hold off. Couturier, he's still, in my opinion, when he's healthy, he's a top 3 centerman. So I'm not letting go of him quite yet.
Yeah.
Plus, I think he's got a no movement clause in his contract.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then you keep him.
I get your point, though, Brian, is that as the first half of this year indicated, that's what Tortorella wanted to do, pair young guys with veterans to absorb. And then as we shift into the second half of the season, getting more of the young guys together to start building that chemistry. Well, you're going to be having more new guys coming in. Bobby Brink, once he's healthy in particular, could probably absorb a lot from Cam Atkinson. You still need to have a few veterans around to pass that wisdom, even if you shed some of the ones that are currently playing tonight.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at there is that point specifically is there are certain guys you can get rid of. Justin Braun at the end of the year, let him walk. He's no big deal. Johnny, my man, what's up, brother? Doing all right, hanging in there. They're guys like him, guys that don't really, they're just really just filling a spot for now. You can't get rid of a guy like Cam or Coots yet. Coots is your first line center. I don't think there's anybody on this team right now that, as good as Cates has been, is a first line center. Cam, again, you brought him in for leadership. You brought him in for his veteran presence, and he does have that scoring ability. That's my thing. You hold on to him. You let him bring that trade value up. Then you move him. Couturier has that trade value, I think. But Cam, I think he's got to rebuild some of that trade value before you actually move him. Because I believe this is going into the last year of his contract. And with that being said, he's probably going to get traded regardless. If you can up that value and get the most out of him in the short span, you get more back, and then you can start really putting those younger guys together, forming that chemistry, getting them ready for next year.
So Ted's saying you can't be a leader if you're never on the ice. The team is in rebuild mode. Send Cam to another team. Don't at me. I love how I threw "don't at me" at the end of that comment.
By the way, real quick, Maddie, before we move on here.
Sure.
Swoopy brought up a great point. When was the last time the four of us were doing a show together? This is the first time in probably at least a month.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's crazy, but that's happens sometimes, man. Life is weird.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, buddy.
I initially wasn't even planning on being back tonight, but things are going well. So,
but hey, things are going in the right direction. All four of us are here. Flyers are not losing the game, which hopefully it stays that way. So let's see.
Oh, let Montreal win this game, please. Show good play and let Montreal win.
That's a good point. We do want high draft picks, don't we? So
Well, since there's such a close proximity with Montreal, fifth place or fifth worst in the league looks a lot better than seventh worst, right? In terms of,
in terms of the draft, no,
Yeah.
not at all. But what was it though? Swoopy saying, yeah, he wants me to do a 10 to 15 minutes pass. I can't do it if I'm not feeling it. You know, I will never make that faked. That's always got to be organic. And the only time I ever really spaz out on the Flyers is if they really piss me off, which, to be honest, they haven't really pissed me off because the season has gone exactly the way I'd expected it to. So it's like, I can't get mad. It's like, how can I get mad when I knew this was going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get mad. For what? I knew the Flyers were going to suck. That's like if a Montreal fan got mad that their team was last place. I'm like, they were going to suck. You knew it. What are you getting upset about? You're that angry? Come on.
True story.
Now, the only difference is a Montreal fan can wash away their tears in the 24 Stanley Cups that they have. But still.
Well, we'll get one bad play
by
in
the
front
way-
of the net by Risto, and it'll send Maddie into a tizzy. So stay tuned, Swoopy.
Actually, I did yell at Risto before we came on the air. So it's just like,
Say it.
like, God damn it, Risto. You can't
I
shoot.
know you,
can't
fucker.
play
I know you,
defense.
fucker. I know you. I know you.
I literally went off on him. I'm like, God damn it, Risto. You can't play defense and you can't fucking shoot. What value do you fucking have? About fuck all. And the worst part is, well, actually, that's wrong. Because according to Chuck Fletcher, he's worth a first-round pick. So, okay. Apparently, he has some value.
Man, Kaylee Cuoco is uber preggers right now.
Oh.
You see the Priceline commercials, they try not to show her belly, but you can't hide it.
I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, come on. Do you blame her husband? I mean, come on now. You're married to Kaylee Cuoco.
I've been trying to do the same thing, but she doesn't want to respond back to my messages.
Is she married?
I think she is.
She was married, then she got divorced, and she said she'd never get married again. And all of a sudden, she's pregnant. So I don't know. This sounds like a baby daddy issue.
Oh, Brian, what you been
Either
doing
way,
in your
I'm
spare
jealous of the
time?
guy.
Yeah, true.
Either way, I'm extremely jealous.
Either way, there was impregnation going down. Yes, I got you.
So that's what we're here for, impregnation talk here on the Hockey Happy Hour. That's what it's all about here on ATV Radio.
One night stand changes your life.
I mean, to be fair, though, what's the trade-off? The trade-off is like, oh, congratulations, you have a baby. Or it could be, hey, buddy, welcome to the HIV Club. Like, yeah, I mean, honestly, out of the trade-off, I would take the baby. Honestly, I would. Do you really want
not so much
HIV?
the baby, but who I had the baby with.
I mean, I guess. No one said you had to marry them. No one ever said that she had to marry the person.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm jealous. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm getting at. I wish I was that guy. Bro, I've literally had a crush on her since, what was it, 8 Simple Rules of Dating My Teenage Daughter, whatever that show was with John Ritter.
Oh, so even before Big Bang Theory.
Even before Big Bang Theory. Like, I was in love with her from like pretty much that point.
Day one.
Yeah, day one. Exactly.
Oh, all right then. So let's see what the chat's saying here. Oh, Eileen's saying, Brian, I still think you have a chance. I don't believe she's married. So there you go, Brian. There you go.
Although if me and her do get married, she's not taking my last name.
She won't be
Kelly
Daly.
Daly.
Oh my God, that's great.
Oh my God.
Julia. Yeah.
That's funny. Why is that funny? I don't know.
Let's be honest. Kaylee Daly, I'm just going to say it right now, that is a porn star name. That is absolutely porn star name levels there.
Hearing it again, yeah.
Oy. Well,
Off the rails.
Good seeing you guys. I'll see you guys later.
Oh, you're leaving already? We scared Brian off already. Damn, we're not even 20 minutes in. Damn. Is that a record? No, that's not a record. I think one time you were ready to leave 8 minutes into the show. So
8 seconds into the show, you didn't get through the intro. I'm like, that's it. All he said was welcome to the hockey happy hour. Nope, that's enough. Guys, show's already gone. It's done.
I didn't even get a chance to say hockey and you were out. I had to bribe you. You're like, Bri, I promise I won't say anything else absurd on the show. And then I lied and I immediately said something absurd right after he came back on.
No, I can't take that seriously when you say that. You already know.
Anyway, Eileen saying, good evening, gentlemen. How are y'all doing? We're all right, Eileen.
Hanging in there.
And let's see. Ted say, we need Montreal to win in regulation. We jumped to 5th. Why be a better chance to move up? Yeah.
Right.
And let's see. Well, the poll question, Eileen, is recent actions have restored faith in the organization. So please feel free to answer that. And see, swoop. Well, oh, okay. You mean me going back throughout the Flyers' history of the fuck-ups that they made? I've done that so many times. At this point, I think people are going to say, yeah, you're faking it at this point. It's like, I can't keep doing it every show. It's got to come out when the moment's right. It really does.
And you know what, Maddie? I did disagree with the poll, but I will say this: with Scott stepping down and Dan Haggerty stepping in, who's more of a Flyers fan, as you guys addressed or whatever, I mean, that does help towards what John Tortorella is trying to do here, right? That's rebuild, the culture of this organization.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, that's the biggest issue is the culture of this team is shot.
Right.
Moving forward, you can start to really rebuild the culture with a new owner, as it were, taking over the reins. And I think with that, you can transition a little bit easier because now you're really starting to bring in a new regime. And a lot of people say you start at the top. And I know a lot of people still aren't going to be fully behind it because Comcast is still going to technically be the owner. But to me, it's a step forward and it's a good thing because it's new perspective. It's new eyes. It's new ideas. It's to Rob's, going to use Rob's phrase here, creates a better culture.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, Eileen disagreeing to the poll. I actually think I don't think that I disagree. I think that fans will start to. I think it's going to be a slow process. I think that people are starting to kind of feel a sense of hope now that finally someone's come out and admitted this team needed to rebuild. I think that's what the fans really wanted, more than anything else. It's like finally someone says what we all know. It's like team needs to rebuild. Finally, someone's admitting it. Now, how that's going to shape out, I don't know. But I will say that I think the fans hearing it is going. It's the start. It's a start of that process of healing a lot of the wounds that have been left, because that regime that regime left a lot of shit in its trail, and it's not pretty. A lot of bodies were left behind there. So
a lot of cockadookey and stinky. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and they tracked that shit into the house too, which that's just never do that. Never do that. Unless you want to get your ass beat, but that's up to you. Well, anyway,
between Hextall and Fletcher, man, there's a lot of dirt that has to not be swept under the rug, but swept out the door.
Right. And Brad, a lot of the Flyers fan base might be strongly disagreeing to this poll because they were not in favor of bringing in a former Flyer, which has, been the MO of this organization for a long time. So, I mean, what say you boys to that? I mean, does that help restore the faith bringing in Danny B, or does it hurt?
I don't think it hurts. I think fans are just. I think they were just looking for someone to finally say what they wanted to hear when you really think about it. Because, and I say that not because Danny's like lying to us when he says the rebuild needs. No, I do believe that when he says that, he's absolutely going to do it. But what I think is, I think they just wanted somebody to finally say it. It didn't matter whether it was a former Flyer or whether it was somebody outside the organization who was looking at the team and said, I can fix it and this is what we got to do. I think they just wanted someone to finally admit what we've known for the last few seasons: rebuild the team. I think that's my personal opinion on it. I know some people may still have that sort of feeling of former Flyer. I don't trust it, but I would say maybe not, because think about it. Chuck Fletcher was not a former Flyer. He's had nothing to do with the organization before. And we saw what that result was. So again, I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that, my opinion. But gentlemen, feel free. What is your takes on that?
I mean, I'm not big on him being a former Flyer, but we really don't have any answers yet. I mean, he hasn't really done anything. He's called a couple guys up. He sent a couple guys down. That's basically the experience that he has so far as the interim GM. Now going into this offseason, we're going to get a little bit more of a taste of what he intends to do.
Right.
So with that being said, we're really going to figure out what his game plan is and where he's going to go from there. And I think once we have a little bit more, once we see him make the moves and see where his mindset is, I think we'll have a clearer answer to that question.
All right. What's up, Pete? Prism saying, poll answer from an outsider: no, but should know more heading to training camp. Let's see here. And Eileen was asking, what jersey were you wearing, Rob? And Swoopy was betting Hart.
Oh, yeah.
He's a hesitate.
My son. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's Rob Povia's pride and joy right there. What are you talking about?
There's two numbers. There's two numbers in my life: 79 and 10. That's it.
Let's see.
10 is young enough to be a kid.
It's 10 for Arteri Panarin.
Nah, it's for Corey Perry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I think you have a better shot on the Corey Perry there.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah. It's everybody's favorite little punk. Well, I love Corey Perry. I still have his jersey.
I mean, I wouldn't have minded having Corey Perry on the Flyers back in the day. He was the shit.
Yeah.
Especially when he was actually scoring goals and not just pulling pranks on the ice.
He was West Coast Rick Talking. Let's be honest.
He eventually turned into that, yeah.
Real quick, Joe. Also, I am absolutely ready for Thursday. I put out my baseball article earlier today. Check it out if you follow me on Twitter at Rob_Povia. It is Taijuan Walker going for the Phillies Sunday night, correct? Because I'm seeing on a lot of reports that it might be Bailey Falter, and I'm like, that makes no sense. You got to roll Nola, Wheeler, Walker 1, 2, 3. It just makes more sense. So if you or anyone else can confirm that it is Taijuan Walker on Sunday, that would help. I do a fantasy baseball article, so I like to rank the starting pitchers. You know what I mean? And I try to get accurate, their projected starts, but that's like rocket science in this day and age. Because oh my God, the way they announce pitching rotations, it makes me want to vomit. In a gambling world, get the fuck out of here. You're going to have a rant from me now. Soupy, you're going to get a rant from me in a second. I keep on thinking about this.
I mean, the Phillies mobile app is saying that it's supposed to be Bailey Falter.
Right. I'm seeing a lot of Bailey Falter. But if Joe just said that he was going to the Sunday night game for to see Taijuan, new so I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
They're gonna say Bailey Falter for the Yankees.
See, that's the thing.
There you go.
Make a good point, Brad.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, you make a good point and ideally you'd like to split up your two lefties because they also have Matt Stram in the 5th spot now with Ranger Suarez on the IL.
You're going to put a lefty against the Yankees lineup? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I like that idea.
They might be saving Taijuan Walker for the Yankees. So
they were
that's
smart.
why I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what they were going to do there.
Yeah, Stanton and Judge love batting against left-handed pitchers, especially Stanton.
Well, Joe said he's going to be sitting in right center, row 12 for the game, so that'll be interesting.
That'll be fun.
There's nothing like opening or like that first series of the year. It's just it's almost as exciting as October baseball.
Absolutely.
Do you guys find it weird though that baseball does this, where they have the day off in the middle of a series?
Yeah, it is pomp and
There's a
circumstance.
reason why they do that,
Oh,
Really?
because the weather is so bad
yeah.
in the beginning of the season that if it rains, the same opening day crowd gets to go the next day. And as somebody who has
Ah,
somebody has a game 2 ticket, doesn't get to go to doesn't get an opening day game.
I see. Okay, I got you. They're trying to avoid a clusterfuck. I got you.
Right, because people spend, especially with ticket with Ticketmaster and who else is selling tickets out, off the market. There's
StubHub
Stub,
and
yeah.
Game
yeah,
Time and
tickets. Yeah,
SeatGeek, yeah.
yeah. They're selling tickets as opening day tickets. What happens if the game gets rained out on Thursday? Well, they just play it on Friday.
Right.
Makes
And
sense.
you still have opening day tickets because somebody who pays, because you're paying a premium usually when you go to opening day.
Right.
I think we all know that.
Makes a lot of
Okay,
sense.
yeah, you're paying a premium for your ticket. Now all of a sudden it becomes a rain check. I mean that doesn't work well, and that's just going to get a lot of people mad. That's why they always do that.
Sure.
Just saying, I'm like 99% sure that's why they do it.
Although with the new balanced schedule and like not seeing teams, as often, I mean, chances are you're playing a division rival. Not always, but 4 out of 5 teams will be in that opening to where you'll see them more. But if you're playing, like for example, the Phillies and Rangers, right? If there was a rain out there, they're going to try to get that game in somehow, hook or crook. But if that involves a doubleheader, now you got someone who played a slightly less premium for game 2 tickets that's technically now on opening day because opening day is right before it.
Mhm.
That's why
Right.
they have the extra day, especially in the Northeast. Because let's be honest, okay, our weather, we're always capable of getting a rainstorm or a snowstorm, and in Colorado and Minnesota and all these other places where the weather's always going to be a little iffy in April.
Especially like
You know?
Ohio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's always gray. It's always gray in Ohio.
yeah. It is. Well, it's Ohio.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really all you need to know about that.
So Jacob Pronovust saying hi. What's up, Jacob? He's also
Hey,
goes
Jacob.
on to say, is it just me, or the Canadians should trade Allen at this point because they cannot trust Allen and they should go get a superstar goalie? Personally, I don't really think that they need to go get a superstar goaltender because I feel like they should just develop a goaltender since they're going to be rebuilding the team. So, and I feel like Primo is one of those
Exactly.
guys that they have a lot of faith in.
He is.
So,
1,000%, Maddie.
Yeah.
He is. They've been trying to develop him for a couple of years now. He's 23 years old. He's actually making his first start in Philadelphia ever in his career, which is obviously his hometown, home city from Voorhees, New Jersey.
Right. Being the
yeah.
son of Keith Primo.
Then he's got to be stoked about playing there right now tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
Right.
he's been playing pretty phenomenal. Like, they're
I bet
expecting
he
him.
I bet he is. I mean, that's
He has
exciting
been.
for
20
that's
of
exciting
21
for any
shots
player.
saved, 952 tonight.
And he's
Right,
had
and
a couple tricky saves too that he's looked really, really poised on.
Right,
Sure.
and the only goal he gave up was really not his fault. It was just he'd stretched out to make one save, and then the Flyers took advantage of that and made a nice little pass and play to Frost. So
Yeah. They're expecting him to be their future guy, Caden Primo. That's why they're going to hold on to Allen for now. He's just not ready yet. He's only 23. It's a similar situation to Carter Hart. He still has to develop a little bit. I think he'll be fine. He just needs a little bit of time to play, and they don't necessarily need a superstar in that, because I'm not saying that Caden's going to be a superstar, but he does have that superstar potential.
And I mean, at the same time, too, you get a superstar goaltender when you're a competitive team. If you don't have that superstar quality goaltender, it's a lot of times that's when you really go for it. Like a perfect example, back in the day when the Nordiques moved out to Colorado, the one thing that they were missing was their goaltender. And when they went and got Wah, that was pretty much what cemented them as a cup contender right then and there. And that's why they went on to win the cup in '96. And then they won another one in 2001. I mean, Wah was that guy. He was the glue that kind of held that whole thing together as that goaltender. Not saying that I'm not saying that Jocelyn Thibault was a bad goalie. He just wasn't the goalie that was going to get them over the hump at that time.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
And he was never that goalie, even after that point in Colorado.
Right. So I would say let Primo develop. I mean, again, it's going to be a long process for Montreal. Montreal's got a lot of work to do before they're going to be back at it. They have good pieces right now, but let them take the time. And again, Primo, young, 23, and like you were saying, Brian, like Hart, gotta let the kid take his lumps, let him learn, and let him grow as a goaltender in the league.
Yeah, and in his starts this year, I mean, he hasn't looked bad. He looks, and I don't mean this to sound like a negative thing. He looks average. He looks like an average backup. That's not necessarily bad for a 23-year-old goalie who's playing behind Jake Allen. You know, he saw his goals against is slightly above 3. I believe his save percentage was a little over 9. Yeah, again, he's 23 years old. This Montreal team has suffered a lot of injuries this year, a lot, to the point where they're leading the NHL in rookie points by a lot.
Yeah.
They had the second place team by 24 points.
Wow, that's a
that just tells you how many debuts were put on this season.
Exactly. And they got like you said, Maddie, and I completely agree to this point. They got a lot of good pieces in place. They got a lot of young players coming in. It's pretty much in the same situation the Flyers are in, trying to figure out what they have. They know what, I mean, obviously outside of the stars, you know, Jake Evans is okay. Cole Caulfield's a stud. The kid they got in the draft this year or this past year, first overall, he's a stud. He probably needs to develop a little bit more, but
I mean,
he's going to be a fantastic.
Nick Suzuki is a big time player.
Nick Suzuki's another one too, and he's still relatively young. I think he's only like 25.
Right, he's not. Yeah, he's not old by any stretch of the imagination. So again, it's one of those things where you have young players. You get the luck of, if you hit the reset button, a Nick Suzuki can be here for a rebuild, and he's still got plenty of prime playing years with you. So that's the good thing that Montreal finds themselves in.
Right.
Plus, with Nick Suzuki, he was the second star last week. Man, he put up a lot of milestones. Freaking, he had 6 assists in the week, 8 points. He's been a really good playmaker, setting up people. He had his first career 4-point game versus Columbus, and he extended his streak of multi-point performances to 4 games, which is the longest run by a Canadiens player. Get this, since Alex Kovalev achieved the feat nearly 14 years ago.
Holy shit!
Since Kovalev, oh my
wow,
yeah,
that's a good long while. And think about the team.
4-game multi-point performance, only 4.
Wow. But think about that, though. Think about the players that the Montreal Canadiens have had since Kovalev, and it's been that long. I mean, we're talking about a team that's had players like Scott Gomez, Brian Gianna, albeit they were kind of going in towards the end of their careers. They were in Montreal. But there have been plenty of players like that. Brendan Gallagher has been on the team for a while. He's never done it. You know,
Max
so it's
Pacioretty,
like
right?
Pacioretty, you know, so there's been a lot of guys who've come through the Habs doors that have not accomplished that feat since Kovalev. That's an impressive feat there for Suzuki.
And one thing I wanted to add real quick here, boys, is since Martin St. Louis took over, similar situation to what the Flyers are in here, you know, with the new head coach. They may not be winning every game, but they're competitive just about every game. And that's
they don't get blown out.
Forward. Right. They don't
Nobody
get blown
blows them out.
And just imagine, again, like I know this is like, but comparing them to the Flyers right now, they're in very similar situations. You know, that's another team that's missing a lot of key players. That's another team that's in a rebuild. That's another team that's, you know, got a new head coach that has them competitive, maybe not winning every game, but they're in every game. So, I mean, I like Montreal and the Flyers. I think you're going to come out and bust out at the same time.
Yeah, I think they both have backbones too, because they got a couple of real tough players on their team too.
Yeah, true.
I mean, that one guy they call the sheriff. I can't remember it. I can't pronounce his name. It starts with an X.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's one tough cookie. That guy. Yeah, between him and Nicky D, both teams have their backbones, and which I always insist. I don't care what anybody says about hockey. You have to have a backbone, and when I say a backbone, you need a tough guy on your team that's going to say, "Hey, you don't hit my guys like that, and I'm going to beat the crap out of you." Okay, and you do it again, and I'm going to take your head off, and actually back it up.
Yep.
And I think teams, especially rebuilding teams, need that guy on their team.
Yeah, and even as a hockey player yourself, like even if you're not the guy who's throwing down heavy checks and basically telling the guys, yo, you're not doing that again, or there will be repercussions, you still have to be tough in and of yourself, even if you're a small guy, you got to be tough. Like Danny B.
No, you want to have
He used to
somebody
get
who has your
drilled
back.
into the boards, but he got right back up and he kept going. It didn't matter about his size. He just kept going.
Right.
No, he was a great player. I mean, he really was a great player.
Right. Jacob is saying, how much money do you think Harvey Pinard should be given? By the way, did he come back? Because he went off the ice and he looked like he was hurt bad.
Who, Raphael Harvey Pinard?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't even see him get hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt in the first period. He went down during the Flyers power play that they scored on, and I don't think I've seen him since. So I don't know if he suffered a real bad injury, but yeah, he was favoring his leg. He did come back. Okay.
Yeah, he's wearing 49.
Okay, yeah, Jacob said he came back. Okay, just wondering because, yeah, he did not look like he was in the best of shape when he went off.
Right.
So, gentlemen, how much money in years you think Harvey Pinard gets thrown his way by the Habs?
So real quick before you guys do that, I'm going to read off some of his stats from this past season. So he will be at RFA at the end of the year, but he in 30 games played so far this year, 12 goals, 5 assists, 17 points with a +9.
Oh, wow. With the Canadiens?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say $4 million.
I was thinking
3 years, 3 years, 14 million, maybe.
Right, with average like AAV of like 3.75-4. Yeah.
I'm in that ballpark.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head right there.
Because he's a restricted free agent too. It's like sort of like that bridge deal, and if you see it continue, then obviously he becomes, in this contract, he'll be an unrestricted after this deal, and then he could really capitalize.
He can walk. Yeah, he can also walk. And you really don't want to do that. You want to extend him.
Right.
And there's going to be quite a few guys possibly leaving at the end of this year. Jonathan Drouin's a free agent.
Well, they could also sign a few free agents. They can sign multiple free agents because they're gonna be under the cap pretty. They're going to be pretty sizable with their money under the cap. They don't have to pay for. They're not going to have to pay for what's his name, Matt Pacioretty anymore. So I think they were still paying for when he was on Vegas. They were paying half his salary. So and now with him on Carolina, I think this is it. So.
Yeah, he's done. He's not even on cap friendly for them. But I mean, they got a couple free agents walking. I think Chris Tierney's going to be gone. I think Jonathan Drouin's going to be gone.
What about Weber? Well, they don't have to pay for Weber anymore. He's on.
Yeah, he's in Arizona.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about him. What about Carey Price? What's going on with him?
I think he's retiring.
Yeah, but are they still stuck on the hook for it with him?
I mean, he's on the LTIR right now, so he's not getting paid, or they're not paying him. I don't think, or he's just at least not affecting the salary cap.
No. Okay.
What's the rule with? Well, if you retire, I don't think you're not obligated. I don't think because what was it? I think Niskanen had one more year left on his contract when he retired out of nowhere on the Flyers, so they didn't have to pay him.
Right.
Right. Yeah, but does he count against the cap?
Right now, Carey Price does not count against the cap because he is on the LTIR.
Okay.
But if I remember correctly, when Pronger was considering his retirement, slipping in and out of the concussions, there was an issue where his money was still being held against the Flyers cap. Like I think it's like how what Tampa Bay did, how they utilized that long-term IR where it comes off the books for a portion of the year, but then you have to ultimately claim it. But when that person finally retires, you don't have to claim it at all. Type of deal. If that makes any sense. I'm beating around the bush a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not exactly
I
sure
think they've
how
got
that
some.
works.
I think they've got some money available under the cap though. So
Interesting.
But yeah, they're gonna have some space and some slots opening up in the near future for Montreal to really start really putting some pieces together here. And I think we're starting to see some of those pieces come together. Like I said, they haven't been out of this game at all tonight, as much as the Flyers have put a ton of pressure on them. They put the pressure right back.
So Joe was saying, luckily the Rangers field has a retractable roof. That was something I made sure to check. Was the weather? Always good to do
Oh,
that
man.
before the game.
well,
Oh,
it's about time Texas did that, because I'll tell you what, for their fans to have to sit in 100-degree weather all the time,
Sure.
it couldn't have been a lot of fun.
Sure.
So
Real quick.
Oh,
go ahead.
sure, Rob. No, go ahead.
Really quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Felix Sandstrom tonight because it was announced late that Carter Hart was going to be scratched with the lower body injury, which we're going to obviously need to tune in and wait for more of a word there, but comes in, stops 24 of 25 shots tonight, equaling the effort of Caden Primo. That's a hell of an effort with potentially late notice.
No, it absolutely is, and he's looked really good in net, man. I mean, he's seeing the puck well. He's tracking it well when there's traffic, and he's not doing anything extra. I think he's played phenomenal, and it's a shame that he only has one win this year.
Swoopy saying, where will Kuznetsov end up? Interesting question.
Are the Capitals going to re-sign him?
Yeah, he requested a trade out.
Oh. What
I
about
think
St. Louis?
What's their cap situation?
I don't know, but they've gotten rid of everybody who's making money there.
Yeah.
Seems to be gone, and I think he'd be a good
they can
fit.
afford him.
I think he'd be a good fit because they've got some wings. They really could use a center.
I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, the Blues are still competitive in their division.
Yeah, they're not going to rebuild because they've got some extremely talented young players on their team right now.
Right.
There's no reason for them to rebuild. They just had a bad year, had a lot of injuries, have a goaltender that's out of his mind.
Legit out of his mind.
Yeah. Not just in the saves.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody who needs what do they say? As Steve Summers on the WFAN used to say, he needs a checkup from the neck up.
So
Neck up from neck.
So what do you think? You think the Caps should package both Kuznetsov and Tom Wilson to the Blues, so that way you have both Wilson and Binnington on the same team?
Oh my God.
That would explode.
I don't think they're trading Tom Wilson.
I know they're not, but it'd be
anywhere.
funny as hell, wouldn't it?
Right.
Oh my God! Can you imagine what would happen in the locker room if Wilson would make a comment that he let in a bad goal, and then the two of them would be fighting for the rest of the night? Oh my God!
I'd be willing to bet. Go ahead, Robbie.
To support Brad's theory, the Blues do have almost $12 million in cap space currently.
So yeah, they could afford him.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I mean, he's probably going to want to go to somewhere that's competitive because as soon as Washington's out of it, he's trying to jump ship now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him.
Well, I think St. Louis would be a good place for him, to be honest with you. I don't really. I mean, I don't know this from I haven't heard any rumors about it. I'm just throwing my 2 cents in about where he could. Detroit could definitely use a veteran who could use a player like that too. That's another team that really
Frosty
needs,
again.
Somebody.
Yep, Frosty again. He's got Primo's number tonight.
2-1.
2-1 Flyers.
Wow, what is that going to be? 4 in a row if they hang on?
Yeah. Well,
4
hey,
in a row
listen.
and 5 of the last 6.
Wow.
I mean, that would be the longest current winning streak in the NHL if that happens.
Be the longest winning streak the Flyers have had all year too.
You guys are like 45
What a
seconds ahead of me. They
move.
haven't even. They just dropped the face off.
I mean, oh, nice shot. Good shot. Sniped it on the corner.
I cannot wait to be back up in that area and be doing games from there, not being 30 minutes behind you guys. Oh, I didn't tell you guys. I'm moving home.
Oh, you are? Well,
Uh-huh.
then, welcome back to Jersey.
That's not going to be for a little while, but I'll be. Yeah, I'm moving back home.
Well, still.
I
Well,
know.
once you get back, gentlemen, we really do all four need to go to a game. You know what? We got to see the Flyers face the Rangers. I know it probably wouldn't be much of enjoyment for at least me and Rob, but I'm sure Brian and Brad will get a kick out of it.
Oh yeah,
How far behind am I?
Except I have to just be quiet though. I don't want anybody. I don't want anybody giving me a hard time in the parking lot.
I mean, you'll be with a Ducks fan and two Flyers fans. Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll be so drunk they won't even notice you're wearing a Rangers jersey.
Oh, I would never do that.
We'll
I
be
would
looking
wear
at
a
that
Ranger
guy
jersey.
over there.
I wouldn't wear a Ranger jersey in that building. Are you out of your mind?
Ah.
I'm not bringing any attention to myself. I know better.
All
I've
right,
been
then.
to too many games there to bring attention to myself.
Okay, then. All right, then. So we'll do the reverse. I'll wear my Flyers jersey. I don't care. I will go up to the Garden. Even if I watch the Flyers get smacked, I'll still wear my Flyers jersey. I don't care. Hey, I can scratch it off the bucket list.
At this point, I don't know that it would be that big of a deal for Ranger fans with the Flyers anymore. I don't think it's not really that big of a rivalry anymore, unfortunately, because of the situation the Flyers are in.
Well, that and also the fact the Flyers don't really face the
Just
Rangers
don't-
in the playoffs anymore
Yeah,
because
just don't wear a Devil shirt. That's that I would tell you that wouldn't be a good idea.
No.
Don't wear
you
a
would
Devil
never-
shirt
no.
and don't wear an Islander shirt, and you'll be fine.
No, you would never catch me dead in either of those. And quite frankly, if someone ever put me in a Devils jersey and I was dead, you'd be defiling my corpse. And then you all three have permission to murder that person, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the Flyers just got the empty netter to pretty much put this one in the bag. Owen Tippett getting the empty netter on that one.
I just got to that goal y'all were talking about. By
was
the
a
way,
nice
that
goal,
was a
though.
snipe. That
It
was,
was.
I'm pretty sure Farabee screened Caden on that play too.
I believe so.
Between him and Joel Edmondson, I think there was a screen there. I don't think he even saw the shot.
I think Frost pulled out his daddy's move that he pulled out on Pittsburgh in 5 OTs.
It looked like it, though, right?
Juked towards the middle and laid up a slap shot and used the defender and the other forward as a screen.
Yeah, he had one defender on his tail too, so he had to get rid of it quick. But yeah, I definitely think there was a screen there for sure.
Yeah.
So just rename Edmondson to Kasperitis and we're good. So
What a season Frost is having though, for real.
right. Tippett too. 22nd goal of the year for him. And Frost, what number goal was that? I missed that. 16. Yeah, great years from both players, and that's what you want to see. Young players really getting that scoring touch in there, really getting some of that. What's the word for it? Getting some of that swagger, that confidence in their abilities, so that way going into games. Yes,
That finish,
finish. That's
absolutely.
the word I was looking for. So yeah. So let's see here. Jacob saying, I still regret that the Canadiens picked KK over Kachuk.
Which Kachuk? I mean, KK's having a pretty strong season here in Carolina, so I just don't think he was a fit in Montreal. I think that was his biggest issue. I really do, because he's really turned it on since being traded to Carolina.
I was going to say he's played very well in Carolina. I know. I can tell you that home and home series the Rangers had with Carolina last week. He was a big pain in the ass.
Well, you know that guy Harvey Pinard? He just scored a goal.
I just got to the empty netter. So
Yeah, so Harvey Pinard scores with about 22 seconds left. Lazy fall. It was a breakdown in the Flyer zone.
Yeah, but when you have a 2-goal lead with 20 seconds to go, I mean,
Don't you say it. Don't you say it. This is the Flyers we're talking about. They can piss leads away like nobody else. So,
okay, all right, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
and that isn't just this year. That goes all the way back to the good days too.
Well, we pissed away some leads this year too. So that Carolina game when I dropped an F-bomb when they blew that 3-2, that the 2-1 to nothing and 2-1 leads in the third period. That was not I was not real happy about the results of that game.
Yeah, you got very animated for one of the
Yeah.
few times you did get really animated.
Yeah, well, yeah, that game really got me annoyed. I'll be very animated Thursday, by the way.
I'm sure
The
you
Rangers
will.
have just put the Rangers have just put the finishing touches on Columbus. It's now 6-2. So
Well, there
I
you
don't
go.
think Columbus is making any heroic comebacks now. So
All right,
yeah.
there.
Vinny Trocheck scores his first goal in about 20 games, but it is number 20, so I guess he should be happy now. He hit 20 goals. Hard to believe he's the second line center and he has less goals than our third line center.
Hey, that's what you get when you got an all-star game. Not everybody can score. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought Trocheck was going to score a lot of goals this year.
Mm.
I thought, him playing with Panarin would be he would really score a lot. And I mean, he's has a lot of assists. He only has 20 goals though.
So the Flyers do close it out. They do get a win.
4 in a row, baby.
Yeah, 4 in a row. Longest streak the Flyers have had.
I know you don't want it. I know you're not real happy about the tank, but look, you don't want your team tanking, man. That's not. You know what, Pete? If you're trying to get free agents next year, they're going to look and say, "Hey, you know what? That young team played real well at the end. Was playing real well at the end of the season, and maybe they're on an uptick."
I'll be completely honest with you. That tank was broken down well before. So the Flyers actually put some seafloor on those tracks well before we got to
they had
the season.
They had a pretty good October. That's right. I forgot about that.
Right. So they were trying to kill the tank well before this.
Well, how many points how many points do they have now?
Including tonight. Hold on, let me check that.
Yeah, do they don't have. Do they have 70 points yet?
Flyers,
No, I don't think so. Hold on a
Oh
second.
no. They have 60 now. They have 60 because I think they had 58.
With the win tonight, they're at 70.
They're at 70. Okay, yeah, they're at 70, and Columbus is going to be still at 53. So yeah, 70 points is not terrible. All things considered,
No, no,
really
it is not.
It's not. I mean, it's not like it's 70 points at this point when you still have like 8 or 9 games left to go. I mean, you're probably going to win a few more. I mean, if you get 75 to 80, between 75 and 80 points, that's not horrible,
No, but you know what? That's also not the culture they're trying to bring to this team either. Like we were talking about earlier in the show, they want to create a winning culture. They want these guys to create the chemistry. They want them to figure out ways to win games and be competitive. You don't want to just tank games. I mean, even at this point, if the Flyers lost the rest of their games from here on out, I still don't think they fall into the final 3. Because San Jose, Columbus, Chicago, and you can even throw Anaheim into this, are putrid teams.
Yeah, that's true.
But San Jose, is it San Jose that's lost like 10 in a row or something like that, or 9 in a row?
Yes,
something like that.
Yes.
God, they have really fallen on
Well,
Columbus
I
is-
mean, but that was the
Columbus's
thing.
defense has been horrible all year. Chicago can't seem to find any source of offense. Anaheim has the worst goal differential in the league, and it's not even close. There's no the bottom 4 teams are in the bottom 4 for a reason because they are putrid.
Yeah,
and it's not
bad.
like I said, it's not even close. The Flyers are a much better team than the bottom 4.
Yeah, they're not. They as bad as it's been. for them, they have not gotten to that point, not even
Right.
close. So I mean, that's one thing to be. That's one thing you can be thankful for. They're not at that level.
Right, because I mean, obviously, after the Timo Meyer trade from the Sharks, Mike Grier was pretty much like he pretty much told everybody outright, like this team's rebuilding, like so don't expect much from these guys. That's pretty much what he was saying.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's. I wonder where he's going to end up. You know that he never signed a contract with the Devils.
Who?
Timo
Meyer.
Meyer.
No, not
I
yet.
mean-
but I'm sure that's probably something they're going to worry about after the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure that I think the Devils wouldn't have traded for him if they weren't confident that they could re-sign him. You know what I mean? Like, because that's something you don't want to do. You don't want to just bring somebody in for a half-year loan and then let him walk, and then he goes to another team and kills it. You know, especially a team like, say, the Rangers or something like that.
And
you
he's
definitely don't
also-
want that.
He's also a young player too.
That as well. So let's see. Swoopy asking, will Pierre-Luc Dubois end up in Montreal?
Hmm.
I think he stays in Winnipeg. They want to keep him.
Yeah, but does he want to play in Montreal? Because it seems like all the French kids want to play there, want to play in Montreal. That's
They're
always
gonna-
been a. That's
They're
always
gonna
a
give
fact.
everything they have to him and see if he accepts. I mean, it's going to be a question of does he want to compete or does he want to go to a rebuilding team?
Yeah, I think he'll want to compete. Winnipeg's not a bad team. Winnipeg's pretty good, so I think he'd want to stay there if that's the case. But just seems to me like French Canadian kids like to want to play for Montreal. It's always been a thing in the NHL from way back when.
I mean, I'm not saying that the French Canadian kids don't want to, but at the same time, I think there are those who do like to play for the teams they play for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see here. Next up, Dylan saying, "What's going on, fam? Agree to the poll. They're listening to the fans, and that's what Philly wanted." And then
Pretty
Dylan
much.
also says, "Let's take a moment to celebrate that Matthew Coronado has officially signed with the Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
Congratulations."
He's been talking to me. He's been on the edge of his seat. They got to get it done. They got to get it done.
Now it has happened, and it has been spectacular for somebody in the fam. So congratulations to you, Dylan. Hopefully the Flames will prosper with him on the roster.
Flyers need to get Cutter signed, but it sounds like he's going to go back to Boston College for another year.
I mean, as
That
long
won't
as
kill him.
No,
No, that won't kill him. As long as they
No.
can get him signed eventually, that's fine. You know.
Yeah,
no,
well,
this
they
is-
do need to do that.
they've turned a collegiate league into a developmental league. So you see a lot of guys, and especially the guys who are outside of juniors now, like Cutter and a few others that are playing in college now. That's a bunch of guys in Michigan. You know, it's turned into a developmental league. You know, these guys, they develop down there a little bit, and then they come NHL ready.
And who would have thought that, quite frankly? I mean, you only rewind the tape like 10 years ago. How many college players ever came over to the NHL? There really weren't that many. If at most, like maybe, what, 1, 2, 3,
A
handful
couple.
at best.
I know JVR came after his second year at UNH
Right,
after
There
he
was
was
just-
drafted.
right. It's just very rare, though, to see kids coming out of college and being really big players in the NHL, you know, or even making the NHL for the most part. Some did, but it wasn't very common. Let's see here. So we're saying, Rob. Oh, I'm sorry. He was talking about that off mic there. My bad on that one. Let's see. Tom's saying, how come the Flyers are not tanking? Because
Pride.
we were talking about it before. Winning culture. They want to build up a feeling of that this team can actually be a team, like a legitimate threat at some point down the line. They want to build up that confidence, and you know, you got to do it by winning some games. You know, you took advantage of a team that's. Oh yeah, Rob.
No, continue your point, man.
I was just gonna say, you know, you take advantage of the fact that you're facing off with a team that's in a worse situation than you are, so you took advantage of that at the end of the day. I mean, I say worse only because of the way their season went, but I mean, the Canadiens are not in a terrible position. But still, at the same time, you take advantage of a team that's been down on the year. Anyway, go ahead, Rob.
I hate to put it in these terms, and I kid around a lot about like, oh yeah, let Montreal win the game or what have you, because that's just the conjecture that's going on in Philly. But for years they told us to trust the process with the Sixers during their tank mode. Has that worked? Has there been a championship yet for the Sixers? I mean, I'm not putting them down. I root for that, but there has not. So prove to me when tanking has truly won, and in terms of especially when you're rebuilding a culture.
To your point, look at Edmonton. Edmonton's tanked like 4 years in a row. They got like the first round pick in 3 of the 4 years that they did it. What have they won?
Right.
So it's more important to build a culture in the locker room than it is to maybe get a draft pick, to make give yourself a better draft pick, because you know what? It doesn't always work. It doesn't work when you don't have that culture already built into some of the younger players that you already have, and you have veterans that are buying into what your head coach is doing or saying and his system. You're seeing that with the Flyers, and Dylan brought up a great point. And the Flyers haven't really been outplayed much this year. They haven't. They've had their games, but it's all about the culture. You want to create a winning culture, a positive culture. You bring a top draft pick into a losing locker room that's just all about tanking, you're going to get results like Taylor Hall. You're going to get results like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. You're going to get results like Neil Yakupov, because that negative energy, that losing culture is contagious.
Remember Alice Hemsky? Wasn't he like a second or a third round pick?
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah,
Ooh, I forgot about him.
Yeah, him and who was the one that Ottawa had that really was a bum? Daig.
Oh yeah,
Alexander
Daig.
Daig.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of them that really were not good, and some were embarrassingly bad. Daig was bad because everybody thought he was going to be a superstar, and he was junk.
I would to Ted's point here. He said tanking work for Pittsburgh. Bringing in Malkin and Crosby, I think, were the last 2 pieces to that puzzle. I think they already had that culture pretty much set up already.
Gary Bettman is the one that caused that.
Right, because they didn't
Gary Bettman. They purposely when the players went when they missed that one season. Okay, the Penguins had the first round pick after they sucked, after they completely dismantled the team and tanked, and they were able to get Crosby. Okay, and then after the lockout, and then when they didn't play, I think in when was it 1990? No, what year? I can't remember what year it was, but the year that they didn't. Okay, it was 04.
Was it?
When they
94.
No, it wasn't 94.
05.
05. Okay, yeah.
05.
Okay. But when they Gary Bettman gave Pittsburgh, he gave everybody the exact same draft positions so that the Penguins could get yet another first round pick, the first pick in the draft again, and that's how they got Malkin. So they got back-to-back first round picks, and that was horseshit. Because what they should have done was there should have been a lottery back then. I mean, that was horseshit. I mean, why?
That's kind of what started the whole lottery situation system. Is pretty much
Bettman,
there.
Because Bettman didn't, because Mario Lemieux, and what happened was the Penguins defaulted on Mario Lemieux's contract. Okay, they owed him $42 million. They were ready to file bankruptcy. Lemieux ended up taking over the team, and then Gary Bettman wanted to kiss Lemieux's ass so that they keep him in Pittsburgh, and that's why they did that.
And I don't blame it, because
that was all about Gary Bettman kissing Mario Lemieux's ass and kissing Pittsburgh's ass so that they could be good again.
I mean, I don't think he wanted the Penguins to move either. I think he wanted to keep them there because he saw that it's a good market, and
yeah,
they've kind of proved that.
But for some reason they weren't paying their bills. I don't know how happen, but
It's Arizona.
yeah,
It's an
well,
Arizona
Arizona.
effect.
Yeah, well, Arizona
here's the-
just proves what an incompetent buffoon Gary Bettman is.
Right.
Nah,
But I will.
I disagree because I think Robert Manfred's a bit more of a buffoon. But
Well, he's
I
a
will say,
buffoon too. He's also an incompetent buffoon.
yes, he is. I'm not saying Bettman isn't. I don't think Bettman's fully to blame on Arizona. I think a lot of the situation with the Coyotes is their ownership.
Yeah,
And
but
I think
he's
it's
not.
more of
He
that
won't
than
let
it's Gary
them.
Bettman.
But he won't let them move. He wants them staying put. He wants that Arizona market, and nobody in Arizona gives a crap. They don't care. It's been so long since Shane Doan and all those other guys that they just don't care anymore.
I think once they put a good product out there, I think that organization will come back. That fan base will come back. But it's just like you said, it's been so long since they put a winning product out there. So nobody pays to
continue.
go see a losing team year after year after year.
And if you continue to put guys on your payroll that aren't even playing anymore and take their contracts just to get to the contract floor, that's just, how soon will Clayton Keller want to be out of there?
I love that kid though.
I will say this: Prism he said tanking worked for the Blackhawks to the tune of 3 cups. I would say that yes, the Blackhawks, they were not really tanking; they were just that bad. Like
they
that's
stunk for a long time.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like they weren't tanking so much as they made a lot of really stupid fucking trades, and that buried them in the long run. So eventually, they realized, you know what, we're just going to have to draft, and that's what they did. And it wasn't just Kane and Taves; they actually hit on a lot of late rounds. That's what really built their team at the end of the day.
Brett Seabrook and
Jarmerson,
Keith. Keith wasn't
Duncan
a first round pick.
Yeah. No, he wasn't a first round pick either. They made some trades, like Patrick Sharp came over in a trade. They made a few, but for the most part, that was a team that I feel like the Blackhawks were just that bad. It was the same thing with the Penguins. As much as people bitch and moan that the NHL rigged it so that way the Penguins would get Crosby, the Penguins were really that bad. They were one of the worst teams in the league when they got Crosby. They were dead last in the division for like 2 straight years in a row.
No, they tanked. They tanked them. They did that on purpose. They traded Jaromir Jagr when he still had plenty left. To Washington, and then Washington traded him to the Rangers, and he goes to the Rangers and scores 52 goals. So that's they did that. They did that on purpose, and they did it to get Mario Lemieux. They went and they traded Randy Carlyle so that they would lose the rest of their games. That caused them to have the worst record to get Lemieux.
There was also the situation that was going around too, where all the financial problems the Penguins were having when Lemieux took over the team. Lemieux basically told Jagr flat out, "It's like, listen, I don't think I'm going to pay you as nearly as much as what Washington's willing to pay you." And he said, "Okay, then I guess we'll do a trade." He was going to stay, but then Lemieux told him, "Listen, when your contract comes up, I don't think I'm going to pay you nearly as much as you think you're going to get paid." So Jagr said, "Fine, I'm leaving." It was as simple as that, because Jagr wanted to make the money he was deserved, and the money because he was pretty much the entire soul of the team at that point. Yeah. So Jagr wanted X amount of dollars. Lemieux said, "We're not going to pay you that much." He said, "Fine, trade me." And they traded him to Washington, and that's what they did. So they just said, "Screw it. We're just going to rebuild the team. There's no point of keeping it around." Plus, also, I think they were going to do it anyway, because it's like they still sucked. They weren't that good a team. They had no depth. So that was true. You had to do it.
Well, they were on their way down, but I mean that finished any kind of opportunity that they had to be good.
Right. And Johnny's saying, "Good Lord, put the Coyotes and put them in Atlanta and bring back the Thrashers." I don't even know if you go back to Atlanta. I mean, yeah.
Why do they deserve a team? They failed twice.
I don't.
They failed with the Flames. They failed with I mean, if any team if any city in my opinion deserves a hockey team, it would be Houston or
That
Quebec
would
City
be the most likely spot that they would move the Coyotes to
or
if they had the
or
opportunity
Kansas
to
City.
do it.
Kansas City has a 20,000 seat arena just sitting there waiting for somebody to use it.
The reason I say that too, in my opinion, I would say that the team ultimately at the end of the day, either they would move to Houston or they would move to Kansas City because they would want to keep it in the division. I don't think they want to change divisions again. That's
Yeah, you're
pretty
probably
much
right
the
about
goal.
that.
Yeah, like you have to think in that regard because I don't think Bettman wants to do the whole, oh, we moved the team to Quebec City. Shit, we got to move a team out of the East.
Well, he doesn't
Okay,
want to
who's
move
it
any
going to
teams.
be?
He doesn't want any teams in Canada. That's the problem with Bettman. That's
He's
why
been very staunch on that too.
yeah, in Canada, and that's why people in Canada hate him. Like he won't even step foot in Canada because he knows he's like he knows if he goes to Canada he's liable to get his butt kicked by somebody. Some maniac will come and beat him up or something because that's how much they hate him because he keeps trying to get the Canadian. He's been up the Flames' butts to try to get them to move and Edmonton, both. So he hasn't done himself any favors there. It's kind of a shame too.
I will say that, in my opinion, on that whole thing with what Ted's saying right here, the Ducks were worse than the Penguins. We know that. Okay, fine. But there wasn't a season, so it was what it was. It happened. There's nothing you can do about it. And did the Penguins need Crosby or didn't need him? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Even with Fleury and even with Malkin, maybe the team doesn't get over the hump. And I say that because Crosby's a generational player. Not taking anything away from Malkin or Fleury. Fleury is one of the best goaltenders of his era. Malkin is a great player. His temper flares up a lot, but he's a great player at the end of the day. However, when you talk about Crosby, he blows right past both of them easily because he was that much of a difference maker for the Penguins. I'm just saying, and even with Crosby, they only won one cup in 2009, which was ahead of schedule, really, because I don't think anyone really expected the Penguins to win a cup as quickly as they did. How long did it take them before they won the two in a row? It took a while. Penguins always found a way to get themselves eliminated for quite some time there.
Well, they had won in 2009.
But then they didn't win another one until 2016. That's a good
16
long
17.
while in between those cups right there.
Right.
That's a lot of time to find a way to get eliminated.
Well,
so
Fleury kept choking in the playoffs. Until he finally didn't.
Right. But the point is that, like, maybe they did need Crosby, maybe they didn't. It's hard to argue that. It's like you get Crosby on that team, that pretty much sets you locked for winning cups. With Malkin and Fleury, maybe you do win a cup. Maybe. Maybe you win a cup. Maybe you don't. I feel like what changed the Penguins' trajectory was Crosby. No doubt about it.
I think the final piece to that puzzle was Letang, though.
Letang definitely with the defense. Yeah, you do need that.
Yeah, he was he definitely was the one that he's the one that he was the icing on the cake getting him. He's just a great player, Letang, and he still is.
You're damn right, Brodo.
Hey, Maddie, do me a favor.
Sure.
If you could scroll back, right? Johnny Mercury put up a good comment in regard to there you go.
Oh, okay, right here.
Agree. Yeah.
That's what you guys were trying to point me to. I was looking for it. Sorry, I brought up the wrong one.
No, that was another good point too and that was topical per your guys' conversation with Arizona, but I wanted to come back to this one.
Absolutely. Johnny's saying if you tank, real fans won't watch the games. You tank, real fans are not going to come to the games or buy merchandise. If you tank, do you really think players are going to want to be drafted? I highly doubt it.
It's not just the free agents, it's also the players that you are drafting and then have to sign an entry-level deal to, opposed to either playing for colleges or playing in international leagues. You know what I mean? Now you own the rights for a while, but you want guys to want to be drafted by this sweater. You want guys to want to come here, and that's the real way to change things.
Yeah,
Right.
and I've heard this from multiple different announcers, from ESPN to the Flyers to the guys on TNT to whoever. This team is competing and playing for that logo on the front. Nothing more. They're playing with pride. They're playing to rebuild a culture. They're playing to get competitive, because the ultimate goal from all of this is to get to a Stanley Cup and win one. The Flyers have the second longest drought in NHL history right now,
Right.
without a cup. They want to break it sooner than later, but in order to do that, you got to play for that logo, and that's what the Flyers are doing this year. And honestly, it's the right move.
Right. And the Flyers have had, and the fans have had, the most painful period of watching a rival team across the state go through not one, but two dynasty periods since the Flyers last won a cup. So you've watched the Penguins lift 5 cups, and you haven't won anything since 75. So, and then you also watched the Rangers win a cup in 94. You watched the Devils win 3 cups, and one of them could have been yours in 2000, but you choked away a series. The point is that you've been watching this over and over again. You've watched your rivals win multiple cups in multiple generations. So you've really got a fan base that's been beaten down, just beaten down and damn near broken.
Don't forget the Islanders.
And the Islanders, who won their 4 straight and started that run by beating the Flyers in 1980. So the point is that it's been a rough go of it for Flyers fandom. And so, yeah, I could totally see where the fans would be so broken down that it would literally just make you feel so pessimistic. But again, like Brian was saying, that's why the team is trying to play hard. They're trying to compete because they're trying to get back that sense of, no, not all is lost. We can build this back up. And on top of that, for the Flyers, this is an opportunity for them to finally do something that the team across the state has managed to do twice now, and that's try to build up a team that can be competitive for years and years out and maybe win multiple cups in a period of time, not just one and done like some teams have been.
Yeah, and again, like I know I brought this up earlier, but I'm going to bring it up again. You know, you draft a rookie. So you get the number 1 draft pick. You take the number 1 overall. You take the best player there. You don't know what he's going to turn into if in an organization that's just going to tank. Tanking absolutely ruins careers, and we've seen it. You know, Taylor Hall has not been the guy they expected him to be. Neil Yakupov's career fell apart. Alexander Diggs' career fell apart. You know, there's no guarantees in a prospect. So tanking makes no sense for any organization to do. You got to have some kind of a culture built. Again, yeah, you can give the Penguins Malkin and Crosby, but if you don't have a culture already set up for these guys coming in, you got nothing regardless. You got to have some kind of a culture built into this locker room, into the organization, that players are going to want to come and be the best version of themselves where they can succeed. You know, Edmonton didn't have that in that span. They have it now. Pittsburgh didn't have it then. They have it now, although that's going downhill with the way Ron Hextall's running that organization.
But yeah, he's kind of ruined that team.
I just figured it out. But by the way, guys, I just figured it out. You know what it was? Ron Hextall going to the Penguins was actually a Flyers move. He's a sleeper agent. That's what he was doing. He was sent to the Penguins to destroy that organization. It's like, good job, Hextall. That's what I'm talking about. You're still a Flyer through and through, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Ruin that company. Ruin that organization.
That sounds like Ramiro Mendoza when he pitched for the Yankees and then he was a free agent and went and signed with the Red Sox, and he was super horrible with the Red Sox. Super. I mean, he wasn't just bad. He was. He was. I'll bring up a name because Rob will remember this name. He was Anthony Young bad. That's really bad. Anthony Young, I think, lost like 16 games in a row as a pitcher with the Mets, something like that. I don't recall the exact number, but it was up there in that area, right, Rob?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it was either 16 or 18.
It was something. Yeah, it was. So he actually had a lot of games that he pitched really well, and the Mets found a way to lose the games for him too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Talk the early years when they were the Messies.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, you have to be a pretty good pitcher to be able to lose 16 to 18 games in a row, whatever it was. You can't be a bad pitcher and be able to do that because nobody's going to let you, get to that point. Am I wrong?
Not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he had to be pitching pretty well if they let it get to that point. I think the Mets stopped because they didn't want him to lose 20 games.
Yeah, I'm sure that'd be the case now for certain. But it was a different era, though. Like guys would just go long, no matter what. I mean, give up 5-6 runs, still pitch 7 innings.
Right,
because they didn't want to kill the bullpens.
Right.
So I'm re-looking at the 2005 draft here. I'm still stuck on what Ted was saying about Pittsburgh tanking. I'm looking at the first round here. This really wasn't a deep draft, like by any stretch. Most of the guys on this list fizzled out. Notable names, obviously, Sidney Crosby, Bobby Ryan, who didn't live up to his full potential especially after leaving Anaheim. Jack Johnson was solid. Carey Price is Carey Price. Devin Setaguchi never turned out to the player that they thought he'd be. Andre Kopitar.
He's been great. Yeah, he's been great.
Tuukka Rask has lived up to it. TJ Oshie's lived up to it. Matt Niskanen retired early, but he lived up to it, and he was taken 28th by Dallas. But Steve Downey, Vladimir Malik, Matt Pelech. Oh, he's been pretty good too. If he's who I think he is, I don't think that's who I think it is. But
no, you mean the guy on the Islanders? He's not the guy in the Islanders.
No, he's not the guy on the Islanders.
Wasn't it Adam Pelech is the guy's name?
Yeah, it's Adam Pelech.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, like outside of like 5 guys, this draft class wasn't deep.
Right.
No, a lot of disappointing players.
I mean, probably the most disappointing of them all would probably be Steve Downey, to be honest with you. I mean, my God, what a disappointment he was.
I didn't he was a first-round pick, first of all.
Yeah, he really didn't do much at all.
Good Lord.
He got beat up a lot.
Well, because he tried to be an irritator, and it's just like, dude, you suck at that too.
Yeah,
goddamn, dude, you suck at everything.
He was the Austin Watson of his day. The guy that gets beat up by everybody.
I mean, Brian Lee, who was taken by Ottawa 9th overall, played in 209 games in the NHL. He had 5 goals in 209 games. He was taken 9th overall.
I don't even remember him, and that should tell you how bad he was. And he played 209 games. How do you even play 209 games? Jesus.
At what point do you make the decision that it's time to have him play on another team and not yours?
Right.
Luke Bourdon, taken 10th overall by Vancouver, played in 36 games. He had 2 goals. He only played like 2 seasons of professional hockey. His last NHL season was 2007-2008, so he lasted 3 years.
Good Lord.
Wow.
Good Lord.
That
is a bad draft. That's like 99 level draft right there, because 99 was a shit draft too. Holy crap.
And I will also say this. To Gary Bettman, his big positive out of him is he does keep the league competitive. He does spread out. If he does have everything rigged, like a lot of people say he does, which is fine. That's your your opinion. He spreads the talent out throughout the NHL, and he doesn't allow teams to go super crazy as far as bringing in free agents and superstars and just overloading their team with talent, like let's say the NBA does.
Right.
Every year is a different, for the most part, is a different winner at the Stanley Cup Finals. It's never the same two teams.
I will say that the thing is too.
You're right.
That
Actually,
the thing
you are
that
right.
really made that possible, and it's something that Bettman would not back down on, and it was something that he demanded to be put in place. That's why we had a whole locked out season, was the cap. That was the thing that ultimately changed that. You couldn't put together super teams anymore because the cap stops you from doing it. You could try to work around it and try to get some talented players, maybe one or two pieces, but you can't get like 5 or 6.
I love it.
You're not going to have like the Pittsburgh Penguins of the 1991 to 92 era where they had Joe Mullen and and Paul Coffey and Lemieux and Yager and Kevin Stevens and
Ron Francis.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of not even fair at that point.
Right. But the funny part is, and this is how it shows you how deep the NHL was of talent, the Penguins were not favored either year they won the cup. That was the ironic thing. The year they were favored, they lost to the Islanders in the second round. So that's the funny thing.
Yeah, that was the year our boy Richie Pilon destroyed Kevin Stevens' career.
Right.
Kevin Stevens was just standing in the crease, not paying attention, and when he tried to get the puck, Pilon just unloaded.
I will say, I may not be an Islanders fan, but I do get enjoyment of watching that overtime goal getting scored and watching the Penguins dynasty in the 90s come to a close right then and there. I feel like, yep.
that was enjoyable, actually.
It's like, yep, sorry boys, no three-peat for you.
It's all over.
To be fair, too, that the way that the Penguins were built back then, it's like, really, if the Islanders hadn't actually managed to stop them, who the fuck would have stopped them? Like, I don't think anybody would have, because
no, you're right.
Because they probably would have beaten the Canadiens in the Wales Conference Final that year, and then what? Gretzky and the Kings were going to stop them? No.
Yeah, then Dale Hunter decided to ruin the Islanders' chances by practically taking Pierre Turgeon's arm off.
Right.
After he scored a goal.
But anyway, the overall point that we're trying to make is that, whether it's rigged or it's not or what have you, and also I will say this too, Ovechkin got picked up by the Capitals, and how long did it take for the Caps to finally win a championship with him? They've had how many chances to put a team around him? They put super teams around him, and they still only managed to get one cup. So even if you get that main guy, it really comes down to what type of team are you putting together? And I think that's what Brian's saying. What kind of team is he coming into? Like, what are you building around this guy? Are you going to build a solid, really good foundation for him? Or are you desperately just going to try and slap together some slop that you find around the league and just hope that this one guy carries you all the way to the promised land? Which plenty of teams have done that. And we see the results. It's not always ended very well for those teams, usually.
No, it can end ugly sometimes.
Right.
Really ugly. Really bad.
Yeah. You get that one guy.
For a while, though, the Kings and Blackhawks were kind of taking turns winning the cup, though.
They were, but I think really the Kings were riding very heavily on Johnny Quick there. But when you get to the Blackhawks, I don't know what it was, but the Blackhawks had a hard time getting through Quick. He was like a damn puzzle to them. They struggled to score on him at times. One of the few goalies who could say that he did that.
They also they were the one team that was able to expose Corey Crawford because he was not good. I don't care what anybody says. He was not good.
He was a solid goaltender, but he was a solid goaltender. He would just turn it on in the playoffs for some reason. Like,
he was.
Where the
he
fuck
was
that
okay,
come from?
Yeah, he was an okay. He was an okay. I'd say more or less he was an okay goalie.
So let's see here. So we've seen, looking back at the time. of the draft and not going by career and stats now, who would have rather have had Malkin or Ovechkin? I mean, Ovechkin is the greatest scorer, most likely, period, versus Malkin, he has been a versatile player. Can't say he hasn't been.
Yeah, but Ovechkin's a better player than him. Ovechkin is big and mean. He was what Eric Lindros should have been. You know,
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Eric Lindros was supposed to be Ovechkin. Except Eric Lindros just
it's a fair point.
He kept getting hurt. Alex Ovechkin, there's a reason why nobody ever starts a fight with him. They know better.
Right.
Nobody wants to piss him off because we don't really know if he can fight or not. But he's so big and so mean and so strong. Nobody ever wants to bother. Plus, everybody goes out and defends him anyway, so you probably couldn't get to him. But do you really want to?
Plus, what I think Swoopy's saying here at the time of the draft, like not knowing then what we know now, what type of player would you rather have had? You know, and Malkin was more of a complete profile at the time.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, okay. I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
It seemed like Malkin brought more to the table than Ovechkin he's a great goal scorer, but that's what he is. He's a great pure goal scorer. Whereas Malkin's more, this guy can do a lot more. He can elevate an entire line, which I think is I see what you're saying.
Well, I'm just trying to interpret his question, but I mean, the thing of it is that it would be wrong. You know what I mean? But you could see how certain goal scorers, maybe the goal scoring doesn't translate on this higher level, or it could be streaky. You know what I mean? Where, you know, to where that might favor the prospect of Malkin. But I mean, come on.
I mean, it's tough because Ovechkin
Malkin
is a
was
generational talent.
Malkin was rated higher at the time too.
He was.
I think so. I wasn't sure.
And it's not taking anything away from Malkin. I mean, Malkin's had an amazing career, and he's put up some great numbers. I mean, he does. I think he does sometimes get a little overshadowed by Crosby because, you know, Crosby's going to get all the heat, you know. But again, Malkin's one of those guys that's like, yeah, but he was just as much of a pain in the ass as Crosby was. Maybe even more at times when you really think about it.
He was dirtier.
Well, yes, I can agree with that. Yeah, definitely speaking from a rival. Yeah.
Crosby was always a dirty player, but Malkin takes it kind of to the next level with the stick.
Right. Talking about Malkin being a great player, Ovechkin being a generational player. You know what I mean? That's hard to predict.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't go wrong. You can't go wrong either way. They're two great players.
Yeah.
Now, Swoopy's saying, though, he said, of course, we choose Ovechkin now, but he said at the time of the draft, he wanted Malkin. So he would have, out of the choices, he would have taken Malkin out of the two.
Well, the Penguins took Malkin.
They did.
Yeah.
Now,
didn't hurt to get Backstrom, too.
No, that definitely didn't hurt. Berto's saying, to be fair, though, are any fans going to the games right now without tanking? I'm literally asking because I don't know. I've been too busy worrying about how the Sixers are going to break our hearts again.
Attendance isn't bad.
Yeah?
The attendance isn't bad.
I've been noticing it being down a little bit, but sometimes that comes natural when the Flyers aren't in the playoffs and you got baseball on the horizon, the NBA playoffs on the horizon. You know, the mind starts to wander. Hockey isn't the most popular sport, but I just compared it in the chat, Brodo, to the 2006-2017, which was the last time record-wise this team was this bad, but night and day in terms of the type of teams that they were and how they're trying to save an organization with a hobbled Peter Forsberg and trying to band-aid it with like old aging contracts, and thus, you know, the record going in the pooper, trying to turn things around that way. Then as a season ticket holder at the time, I witnessed how much it was a ghost town in that arena, you know, and doing it now, you know, according to Brian, it's a little better.
It is better because like I've been saying, the team's competitive. It's not a bad team. We know this isn't a bad team. It's a competitive team. And I think that's all the fans want. And I actually, the last time I was up there, I actually went to the game against who did they play? Winnipeg. When Winnipeg won that game by it was like a goal or two, whatever. It was pretty full. It was pretty full. There was a lot of fans in that arena. It got loud at times. So I mean, people are still going. I think they just want to see a competitive team, and that's what the Flyers are right now. They may not always get the results, but they're in every game, and I think that's a big reason why we're seeing fans going to the games. And Robbie, to your point, absolutely. I think with the Phillies coming off the World Series year, they're going to draw some attention. The Sixers being in the playoff hunt, they're going to draw some attention. But the Flyers being at the bottom of the barrel, people are going to start leaning towards baseball and playoff basketball. So I totally agree with you. I think you're going to see a little drip in the attendance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Don, I think the last time the hockey was the number one sport was never. I mean, maybe you want to talk original 6 days, you know what I mean? Where sports you had like 3 different channels to where you could get national coverage. So you didn't have like 50 million football games, basketball games to watch and what have you. I think hockey might have competed.
I mean, hockey, I think at one point was pretty much right up there with the NBA in terms of popularity. Like in the early 90s was like the last really big period for the NHL, and the mid 90s as well. What killed it is they landed a deal with ESPN, and that was a big deal because it was ESPN. And Gary Bettman had sold them on the whole idea. This is how long Gary Bettman's been the commissioner of the NHL. He literally was selling to them, well, hockey's a fast-paced game. It's got intensity. It's got fighting. It's got great goal scoring. It's got all kinds of it's got great fast-paced action. Then guess what team won a Stanley Cup in the mid-1990s and changed the entire game of hockey? Go ahead. Take a guess. Guess what team changed the entire sport of hockey overnight by winning a Stanley Cup?
The Red Wings, right?
No, not the Red
No.
Wings.
In the mid-90s?
It was a team that beat the Red Wings in the mid-90s.
The Devils with their stupid trap. Yeah.
The Devils changed the entire sport of hockey in the mid-90s.
they ruined it.
Bringing out the trap, playing defensive hockey, teams overnight said, that's how we'll win a Stanley Cup. Not taking into account that you had great defensive play, and on top of that, you had the best goaltender at the time in his prime. Not taking any of that shit into account, other teams immediately rushed to try and become defensive-minded. Not every one of them, but a lot of them. That changed the sport. You started to see goal scoring go down a lot, and goaltenders were getting better. That's the other thing, too. It's another thing that was added on. Goaltenders started playing better. They started being way more athletic. Dominic Hasek's style changed a lot of things as well. So when you started to see better defensive play and you started to see better goaltending, goal scoring got brought down. So one of the biggest things that Bettman was selling the NHL on changed overnight. It went away.
Live shot of Gary Bettman.
And the truth is, that's not even Bettman's fault. It's not even his fault. Hey, how was he supposed to know the Devils were going to put on one hell of a defensive performance to win themselves a Stanley Cup and sweep the Red Wings? How was he supposed to know that? You couldn't predict it. I don't think anyone was expecting that to happen.
No, nobody thought the Devils would beat the Red Wings. When they won Game 2, though, I remember the papers in Detroit said, "Uh-oh." Because I happened to be in Detroit back then. Was that? Yeah, and they had a newspaper and it said "uh-oh" on it, like their sports section at the back. It just said "uh-oh" and it had a picture and it had the score, and I can't remember it. I think the Devils won 6-2 or something. They clobbered them. when they were, because the first game everybody was laughing like, nobody cares, big deal, it's only one game, blah 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 blah. But then when it became 2-0, then it was,
Right.
Yeah, that first game is never. That's all right. There's still X amount of games to go, and then next thing you know, it's like, we're down 3-0 right now. What are we gonna do here?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We gotta get back in this series, boys. Let's go.
Of course, and then of course it didn't help anything too that the Red Wings had a choker label that was around them at the time.
Oh yeah,
Everybody thought they were the greatest choke artists in the West at that time period.
Yeah.
And then finally they won, of course, in '97, the year the Flyers faced them. I was like, of course.
Every
If you
time
got a
the
choker
Flyers get
label
to the
on
cup
you,
finals, they face a dynasty.
yeah. Then they beat the Capitals the next year, and that's all she wrote. After that, the Red Wings were back, and they were one of the top teams in the entire league. And everybody said, "Oh, they're not choke artists anymore." Yup.
That roster was gnarly.
It was.
They were such a good team.
Yeah, let's see here. So saying, are Cicerelli and Gardner the two players who played the most games without a Stanley Cup?
Cicerelli maybe. I think Cicerelli played more games than Gardner, didn't he?
Might have. Don, it's like, thanks, guys, on today's history lesson. Well, thank you. And also, that's another reason why you can hate the New Jersey Devils so very fucking much. So, fuck you, Devils. You ruined everything.
Well.
Hockey was fun and exciting until you fuckers came along and ruined it.
Yes, exactly. They were an unbelievably annoying team. Talentless group of assholes that just used to play their stupid left wing lock and put four guys on the red line and not let anybody and since there was no two, they had to change the rules of the game, take the 2-line pass out of it to ruin the trap.
It wasn't illegal at the time, so they didn't do it wrong. They were smart about it. They took advantage.
No, I know. It doesn't change anything, that's for sure.
I got the answer to Swoopy's question. It's actually a pair of Sharks. Second most in NHL history with 1,566 regular season games, Joe Thornton.
I think I know who the second one is.
Oh, okay.
Joe Thornton. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Good old Jumbo Joe.
I'm pretty sure I know the second one now.
No, he's number 2. Number 1, Patrick Marleau.
Yeah, good old Marleau. Yeah, and unfortunately, you talk about two guys who should have won a cup, but boy, they had the misfortune of being on the Sharks team that every year just butt-fucked their way right out of the playoffs every single time.
Yeah,
my guess was Thornton because I thought, because he had days with the Bruins and, now with Toronto, you know what I mean? Like, I thought he would have amassed more, but I forgot about Marleau.
Yeah.
Who had the distinct honor of having his number retired by San Jose this year. And it was quite the ceremony.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Very much deservedly so. I mean, Marleau does lead pretty much all the categories in offense. Oh, pretty much everyone for the Sharks. So very understandable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Dylan saying, no one more deserving than Iginla, in my biased opinion. Iginla deserved one too, and he just had the misfortune of being on a 2004 Flames team that flamed out against the Lightning. However, Dylan, I'm sure he follows this, that the Flames got fucked out of that cup because of that goal that was called a no-goal in Game 6 in overtime, which then the Lightning won, and they went back to Tampa Bay for Game 7.
Yeah.
So adding to Canada.
I
still think Tampa was a better team in that series. They should have won that.
Yeah, Tampa
series,
was the better team, but they should have lost the series though.
True, because the better team, especially in the NHL, this statement is no truer than in the NHL. The better team doesn't always win. Sometimes you just gotta be the hottest team.
Not in the NHL. Not in the NHL, it doesn't.
Nope.
And we've seen that a million times.
True.
Every Devil team that won the Stanley Cup was not the better team.
I was fortunate enough to get to watch Timu win a cup, but not not Korea, but to me, he will always be the one who slipped out of the Stanley Cup, and I wish he had his name on it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I think for pretty much the Flyers, it would be almost everybody from the 80s teams. And then as well as with exception of Taka, because
Brian Prop especially.
Yeah, Brian Prop, Dave Poulin. I mean, Taka, no, because Taka got his name on the cup. He just got it with the other team in Pennsylvania. And
he doesn't count.
Yeah, he don't count. Hexy didn't get it as a player. He got it as an executive. So yeah, they would definitely fall into that category.
You know, 2 Flyers that really were just the blue collar, like they were the Scotty Lawtons back then, that I would so wish could have their name on the cup. Terry Carkner and Keith Acton.
Yes. Terry Cartner, Keith Acton, yes.
Those were the guys that nobody heard about, this bottom 6 players where it wasn't fashionable and helped keep that team.
Terry Carkner, he's the one that got away from the Rangers.
Yeah.
I remember he's the one that got away because he was a good defenseman with you guys. Right. He was never good with the Rangers. He was always giving the puck away.
Another guy who never got his name on the cup, Flyer great Timmy Kerr, never got his name on the cup, but he deserved it badly too.
Agreed.
And Holmgren.
Yes. I've stated before, I hate Holmgren as a GM, but he was a great player. He was a great player.
And he was good with both of us.
Right.
Both the Rangers and the Flyers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think Holmgren played 1 season with the Rangers, and I think he scored like 30 goals. But they were
is that right?
Yeah, but I think they scored all of them on the power play.
Wow. That makes total sense, actually.
Yeah, because he couldn't. Whenever they put him out on a regular line, he couldn't play defense. He couldn't keep up with anybody. But on the power play, he'd score he was always scoring all his goals. It may have not been 30. I can't remember exactly. He scored a lot of goals, but they were all power play goals. And he only lasted 1 season with them because he couldn't skate anymore.
Right.
Because wasn't he the one that had all the injuries? He had like 1 million injuries, if I recall.
He might have. I mean, he played a hard style game, so I'm not surprised if he did. Jay Harrison Bennett saying Kerr, Howe, McCrimmon, Ilkeson, Asalo, all these guys played for the Flyers. Okay. Yeah, Mark Howe played not just for the Flyers, played for the Whalers, and he played for the Red Wings. He got
Mark Howe was a tremendous player.
Yeah, there's a reason why the Flyers retired his number. He was that fucking good.
Yeah, he was a tremendous defenseman.
I mean, I think the problem is Daddy Dearest hogged all the cups. It's like, damn it, Gordy. Could you not just, lose one final so that way Mark could have won one with the Flyers? You sucked up all the cups for your family. Damn it.
He kind of did. He kind of did.
Prism threw out Matt Sundin. That's another good player who never got his name on the cup either. Sundin was a really great player. Never won anything. Of course, he did have the misfortune of going to teams that they were good, but they just could not get a damn thing going against certain teams in the playoffs.
Did Timo Solati get a cup?
He got one. He got one with Anaheim.
Right.
Yeah, it was the 07 one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The one who missed out was Korea on that one.
That's right. Right.
Korea left, and I think it was the year after the lockout.
06.
And
what about Dale Howard-Chuck never won a Stanley Cup, and he was a great player.
Right.
Howard-Chuck was a good one too.
Right.
But Korea went to St. Louis, I think, to 2006 to 2000. No, sorry, he went to Nashville first. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
What year did he go to St. Louis?
He was in Colorado, and then I think he went to Nashville, and then he went to St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
So he was out of Anaheim even before 97 was, I think, his last year. No, that's not right. What the hell year did he go to Colorado? Hang on, I'm going to look this up because now I'm concerning myself. But I do want to say this real quick. I do appreciate the fact that Priz is still with us. It is 10:30, and he's still commenting in.
Right.
Good to know that he's not passed out right now, so good for him.
Right. Thank you, Priz. We love you. And Priz also saying Roenick would be his homer pick. Roenick's a good choice. He never won the cup either. And with the Blackhawks, he got to the finals, lost to the Penguins. Flyers never got to the finals. Obviously not with the Coyotes.
No.
And then he bounced around the league. He wound up with the Kings. He wound up with the Coyotes again. Then he finished off his career with the Sharks. Of
That's
all
really
teams, that was the team he finished it off with.
That was highly unfortunate for him.
Okay. So Korea left Anaheim after the Stanley Cup run in 02-03, went to Colorado in 03-04, then to Nashville for 2 years, and then he finished up his career in St. Louis the year that it was a year after they won the Stanley Cup. He went to St. Louis. So he missed another Stanley Cup opportunity for 3 years, and then unfortunately had to retire at 35 due to concussion issues.
It's a shame. But Chris's comment here. We appreciate that, Priz. You want to spend it with us. Thank
you. We love you,
Priz. It's a good thing. It's a good thing we don't put him to sleep.
Right.
Usually we do.
Yeah.
Priz be watching us saying, you don't have the balls to be this high.
Yeah. What was it? And Eileen's saying Brendan Moore, all-time fave. Now, Brendan Moore does have his name on the cup, although he got it with the Hurricanes when he was the captain.
Yeah.
Was he on the team when they lost? Yes, he was on the team when they lost to the Red Wings because that was 2002. So he was on the Hurricanes by that point. Flyers had traded him, I think, like 2-3 years before that. Which is one thing I will throw back at Lindros. I'm like, did you really have to fuck around with his wife? But anyway, so
I don't know how
didn't he do that with Tocchet too?
Really? Good Lord. I didn't even know about that one.
Wasn't it Tocchet too? Because I think he did that to Tocchet too.
Good Lord.
And
apparently,
that's why Tocchet left.
Apparently, Kane did it to Sharp with the Blackhawks. So, I mean, it's just something that happens with teams, I guess.
Well, you know, the Yankees back in the 60s had two guys, Mike Kekich and Fritz Peterson. And it got to a point they actually switched families.
Oh my God.
Even the
dogs. I'm sorry, let's back up a second here. Who did this?
Say what?
The Yankees back in the 60s had two pitchers on their team, Mike Kekich and Fritz Peterson. Okay? And they were both cheating on each other's wives. In other words, Peterson was messing around with Kekich's wife, and Kekich was messing around with Peterson's wife. Okay,
60s, baby.
And then they ended up getting divorced and married and remarried to these two women. And they when they got divorced, they switched families, and even the dogs came along.
Oh my God, that is just
the big thing in the Post was in the New York Post, and I remember this because my father thought that paper was such a rag. He said, "Do you believe this? The first thing they say is even the dogs. They don't even talk about the kids or the family, just the dogs. Even the dogs."
I tell you what, that brings a whole new meaning to the term swinging 60s. I tell you that right now.
Swingers, baby, yeah.
If you want to get all the... listen, Don, listen. If you don't believe me about that, Google Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich. I swear on my life this really happened. And you know what? They ended up both getting traded to Cleveland. And I think it was either in the Nettles trade or the Chambliss trade. I can't remember which one it was, but the Yankees found out about this, and they got rid of both of them.
They said
they're a package deal. They had to keep them in town so they could see each other's kids.
Yeah,
right. The funny part is
they traded both to the same team, Cleveland, but it was like They were like, you know what? Both of you, get the hell out of here. Go to Cleveland.
Oh
Think
my
about
God,
this.
it is true. I'm looking at the news headline right now.
I swear on my life this happened.
It's the New York. It's a cover of the New York Daily News. It says "Death for Mob Pushers." Rocky, two Yank pitchers trade wives. Peterson and
my-
Kekich hurl changeups.
I love the phrasing. Who's the guy who's writing this? He's a fucking gem. Like, holy shit.
Oh, there was a
It's
I
way
mean, they
too
were
small for me to read that.
The Post and the Daily News, they were brutal back then to those two guys. I mean, they kept on these guys when they found out about. I mean, they were like every day they were having little different articles about the two of them, even when they got traded to Cleveland.
Oh my God. That became like the dirt sheet corner for the fucking Yankees.
Well, that was always
Good
that paper. They always did stuff like that. Was like right up their alley. Wow, I mean, they love stuff like that.
Oh my God. Oh, that shit's great. Briere, he's like, this is why you stay up and enjoy the high.
Wait, hang on. I can't move
little
on from
things
this
you
yet.
guys, little things that I contribute to the program.
Hold
Like
on.
Kekich
I'm
and
not,
Fritz
I'm not
Peterson.
ready to move on from this yet. I still have questions. I have multiple questions here. Here's one of them. Do you think you ever pissed off at each other? You're sleeping with my wife? Well, you're sleeping with my wife. Touche.
You know what, though?
Tit for tat.
Right.
You know, at that point, though, I would say they had to have been best friends, because only best friends trade each other's wives. Who the hell else does this shit?
They were best friends. They were best friends.
Oh, see, I hit it. I hit the nail on the head.
That's what I remember reading an article about it, and they were best friends. And their wives used to go shopping together when they went on road. They used to come. Peterson and Kekich's wives used to come with them on road trips, and they go out shopping together and doing everything together.
They shared everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, they really did share everything. Holy shit.
yeah, it makes you wonder what else they may have shared.
So yeah, it's like, hey, listen, what behind happened on closed doors on those long road trips? Hey, who knows? You got the kids with the sitter. The dog has a sitter too, and you just take care of business.
I mean, it was the 60s, so it was a very different time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go to Montreal to see crazy shit like that in the bedroom.
Brian, what year was that? Because I can't remember the year.
Hang on, give me a second. Let me find that newspaper headline again.
Let's see here. While you're looking that up, Jay Harrison Bennett saying, I'm starting to think Briere ain't the only one baked. This is hilarious.
1973?
Okay, that sounds about right. Then that must have been the Nettles trade then.
I can't really read it. It's really small.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
yeah, it was 73. It sounds about right.
Yeah, I think that says 1973. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was the Nettles trade. Yeah, the Yankees got Greg Nettles, and they traded those guys and like 3 other players to Cleveland to get Greg Nettles.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I
Good
mean,
story.
you know it's bad when the Yankees are just looking at this like, we got to get this shit off the books, like right the fuck now. Just get them off the roster.
You know, back then, you know, they had just come off. You know, they were really great until the late '60s, and then they sucked, and everybody was all over them all the time because they went from being great to being, you know, a team that was getting kicked around every season. And then finally, you know, they're starting to get a little bit better. In 1972 and 73, they're starting to get a little bit better, and then this happened.
Right. It's just like, of
oh,
course.
No. Get these freaking guys out of here.
Get these fucking clowns off the team.
Yeah, now probably nobody would think twice about it.
Actually,
You
if
know?
anything, I think everyone would say it's a baller fucking move right now. Like, people would actually be saying that, to be honest
Maybe
with
you might
you.
be supportive right now, but back then, people back in the 60s and 70s were not going to put up with that.
Nope. By the way, want to give a shout out to the Vancouver Canucks. They rolled into the third period down 5-2, and they just tied the game up against the St. Louis Blues. So, like,
Ooh.
damn, Canucks, what a way to show up.
Nice.
Somewhere Dan
But,
Mindel is celebrating.
Yes,
I guarantee
somewhere.
Yeah.
I like that.
Troll
Eileen-
comment incoming
Eileen-
in 10 minutes.
Eileen just came up with a good
Yeah.
I saw that. Tit for tat.
Yeah, I lose a tit for tat, literally. And she threw the laughing cat emoji too off to the side.
yeah, we know it. We know what she meant.
And then
Boy,
Frizzle
that-
saying Luke Lendening just ran the goalie and scored. Sweet Chris Benson's wife.
Anna Benson.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
Forgot
Yeah.
about her.
I remember
Wow.
she told him if he ever cheated on her, she would bang the entire New York Met team
Yep.
when he got traded to New York. You better not cheat on me, or I will bang the entire team.
But
That's
Tommy just came in at the perfect point right now. He's saying, "Sure, I'll agree to the poll." And he's saying, "What's up?" Apparently, swinger talk. That's what's going on right now with the freaking history of the Yankees right now.
Guys changing wives, smoke shows.
Yeah.
It's carnage.
and then we're talking about just ball player wives, threatening to, I'm gonna bang the entire team if you cheat on me once. Like,
Well,
You know what?
that's a fact. She
Do you-
she said that.
I know.
So wait a
she
minute,
did.
what team? So wait a minute, wait. This was on the Mets, was it?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
think
when
that the
he got-
Mets? Do you think that they were like secretly like trying to piss off this guy, Chris Benson, to say like, "Yo, man, like they wanted a free blowy or something like that." So they just basically told him, "It's like, yo, man, that's a fine piece of ass right on over there. I think you should probably tap that." Just saying, like, try to get some drinks in him and everything. You think that there were Mets who were trying to do that at the time?
I don't know, but boy, oh boy, I mean,
I'm just saying.
Wow.
I'm just saying. When you get the boys together in the locker room and they realize, yo, we could bang his fucking wife if he cheats on her. Yo, why the fuck are we trying to make this happen?
Can I just say before we actually get back to talking hockey real quick?
Sure.
I forgot how much of a smoke show Anna Benson was. Wow.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And that tattoo she had going around her bicep up on her arm. I don't know what's worse, that or a tramp stamp. She a hoe. I'm just putting that out there. She a hoe.
Yeah,
If
but
she
it
makes
was
you feel
worn,
like
it
that,
was,
she's a hoe.
it was worn well though.
Yes, it was.
I love it. Eileen's like my virgin years. And then what? But then she does go on to say, "I'd like to play house with Verlander."
I like to play house with his wife, so it's all good.
Oh,
Oh.
did you know
Oh.
about this? And
No.
she got 15 years probation after a bizarre attack on her husband, Chris Benson.
Oh my
no.
god!
Are you kidding?
This just gets better. This just gets better and
That
better.
shit's still going on to 2028.
Oh my god!
Oh
This
my
is even
God.
better.
This gets better. And we
That's
thought
longer
Chris
than the
Peterson-
Bobby Bonilla contract.
and we thought Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich were weirdos.
Like, yeah, apparently they ain't got nothing on this shit. At least the Mets won up the Yankees in one way.
Yes, they did.
Yo, she ain't just a hoe. She's a psycho.
And
She
Prism's
needs to be
Prism's
locked up in a
comment.
carousel.
She looks like a
Wow.
crackhead now.
True story.
I haven't seen it recently. I just was looking at her old pictures.
That was the picture of the article I just read the highlight, the headline of.
Oh my god. At least saying y'all should do a side hockey show called Hide the Puck. Yeah, we're hiding it right now because we sure as shit ain't talking hockey. All right, this will get us back on track. The Blues just won in overtime. So easy come, easy go. Say la fucking V for the Vancouver Canucks there. But anyway, all right.
Showed a little character, though.
Yeah, they did. I'll give them that. I will give them this
a
one
little credit.
This one. They showed this one kid in the audience in St. Louis. He's just wearing a Canucks shirt. He's like, fuck, man. Like, really? It's just like, I feel you, dude. I feel you, kid. I totally feel you right now with the Flyers.
Wow, it's got to be tough to watch them.
And Eileen's psycho ho comment of it. But anyway.
I mean, you could have to watch the Ducks. I mean, I still don't know how they're not in last place especially with that goal differential. Gibby has really stolen them some games this year.
Well, you know what? All I know is they beat the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
We're 2 points behind the Devils, and you know whose fault it is? It's your fault. Your Ducks' fault.
You're welcome.
Thanks. I remember that was the first home game they won all season, too. Have they won another one since then?
Probably not.
Well,
and you know what got me? You know what I thought when they lost that game? I said, man, I hope if they try to win the division, if they lose by 2 points, that's the game that's going to drive me nuts.
Sure enough.
Yeah. Well, they also lost at home 5-1 to Columbus, who they just trounced tonight. But you know,
imagine. Okay, so how expensive are tickets to the Rangers? Like, are they not cheap?
Average,
I'm assuming they're not.
They're like $180 a pop.
Right, and that's for cheap seats in the Garden.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so imagine paying that, going to watch the Rangers and watch them get blown the fuck out by the Columbus Blue Jackets. I would be fucking furious.
Maddie, they lost to Chicago at home too.
So
that was the game Jacob Trouba threw his helmet because he was so mad. He threw his helmet at the bench. And he was so angry he missed the bench and he threw it into the penalty box.
I remember that. I saw that highlight. I was like, yeah, that's the energy that this team needs right now.
Yeah, he definitely.
And it wound up actually working out for the Rangers.
Yeah, well, that helmet toss actually is what got them back on track, because after that they started playing a lot better. But they were like. You remember I was saying they're playing like dead carcasses right now.
and that's why I said what I said, is because, you know, sometimes, especially with Trouba wearing the C, you see your captain go off like that. That sends a message, guys, we need to be better.
Yeah.
And they really took it and they ran with it, and they've really played really good hockey pretty much since that
they have
freak out. They have. All right, guys. So let's all right, let's finish. Let's go to the second period here. I know we definitely got way off track on that one, but
let's skip to the shootout. Come on, that's what everybody's here for. No,
sure. Yeah. All right. So here, let's dive in.
We touched a couple on these things. Anyway, go on.
So second period would have been brought to you by All Campus OC. If you're ever down in Ocean City, New Jersey, or you're in the area and you want to head on down to the shore, feel free to pay John Coyle a visit. Say hi to him and visit his shop down there at the boardwalk, because it's a really cool place. He does host the ramp booth from there. So if you ever want to see what it looks like, you can always take a quick sneak peek on there. But if you do go to All Campus and you're subscribed to A2D, John is giving 20% off of everything in store, including hats and shirts. So feel free to do that. So go on down, check out the shop, and say hi to John. Wear some team colors with some pride. And yeah, definitely check it out. So anything you guys want to talk about rebuild-wise for the Flyers before we move on to the Around the League and we do whatever silly shit we got else coming up on the rest of this show? So what do you got for me? Anything on the Flyers build?
The one thing I want to touch on real quick here is I'm so impressed by some of the young guys playing right now. I've been saying it all season long. Noah Cates is having a phenomenal year. I love how blue collar he is, and he doesn't shy away from contact. He doesn't shy away from puck battles. He gets rewarded with points every once in a while. Another one is Tyson Forrester. He may be high-end talent, and he may be a huge piece moving forward to this team offensively. He's played really well since coming up. I mean, he hasn't seen all the production, but he's got a nose for the net. Any shot, he's within reach of a rebound, and he got rewarded a couple times over the last 2 weeks as far as goals go. So he's got a nose for the net, and he's got that shot is wicked.
Right. And I'm glad you brought up Forrester's name again before we logged off, because I remembered back when you said Forrester would be the sniper that this team needs. You remember that, Brian?
I remember that.
You remember that, right? And just like Will Smith and I, Robot, sometimes I told you so just doesn't quite say it. Because this heavy shot that I've seen from him, you know, the juicy rebounds that it's created, even when it's not finding the back of the net, even when it's not finding one of the top corners like a true sniper that this kid is. I haven't seen a shot like this in Philadelphia since my guy Johnny Leclerc. It reminds me just of Johnny's shot.
Mm-hmm.
No lie.
Yeah, man. And it's not even just his shot. The kid goes to the net. He goes for the rebound.
Right.
He reminds me a little bit of Wade Allison in that sense that he's a dog. And he'll go to the net. He'll go for the rebound. He'll take a shot. You know, the one thing I love about scenes from most of these young guys, and I'm going to put Owen Tippett into this conversation. I'm going to put Morgan Frost in this conversation because they've taken huge steps forward this year themselves. The creativity from this team has, especially the young guys, should rejuvenate the fan base a little bit and say, hey, we do have a bright future. Maybe this team is going to be competitive. Maybe we're going to be a playoff team again sooner than we think. And then you're going to keep adding to it. You're going to add Cutter Gauthier probably after next year. You're going to add free agents because they're going to see this and they're going to want to play with them. You know, it's still got to get a couple guys off the books money-wise, but I think this – I said this at the beginning of the year, and I still stand true to this. 2 years, they will be a playoff team again. Everybody thinks it's going to be longer than that. That's fine. Y'all can think that. I think it's going to be sooner. I think with all the blue-collar, hard-working players they have on this team and the fact that they believe in each other, they support each other, it's going to lead to this team being successful sooner than people think.
Yeah. I will say that I believe that with the way that this buildup is going, you know, and the way that, you know, Danny is taking I would assume he's taking a very logical approach to this, and he's going to look at everything and evaluate everything and make sure that everything is in place. I think that where we're at right now with some of these young players getting some confidence in them, getting, like you said earlier in the night, Rob, getting that finish in them, you know, and Hart continuing to perform strong in net. I think that, you know, I think you're right, Brian. I think that, you know, it may not be nearly as long of a buildup as what you might see from a team like, say, when the Red Wings had to rebuild and Ottawa because they had absolutely nothing, literally nothing on that team, bare bones. Whereas the Flyers are not bare bones. There is something there. So
I saw you flashed up Ted's comment in terms of Gagne being greater than Leclerc. Now, I love Gagne too. I met him personally. I met him when he was a young prospect, stayed with a girl's family I went to high school with. I don't like comparing players, but let me ask you this. How many 50-goal seasons has Simon Gagne have? And how many did John Leclerc have?
I'd rather have John Leclerc over Simon Gagne.
Yeah. And Gagne is my favorite
I love
Flyer.
Gagne.
Yeah, Gagne is my favorite Flyer. Like, I grew up loving Gagne. He was the man. But I will tell you right now, out of the two, which one would you rather have? It's Leclerc. Who had a bigger impact? It was Leclerc.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Gagne had 47 goals in 05-06, and Leclerc had 50 plus goals, well, 51, 50, and 51 in 3 straight years from 95 to 98, followed up by a 43 and a 40 goal season. That was a phenomenal 5-year period.
Yeah.
That really is. I mean, that's doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, and Jay even brought up a great point that when I was talking earlier, Emil Andre signed his ELC too, so the Flyers have him to look forward to as well. So that's going to be a huge addition.
Right.
That's dirty, Ted. That's dirty pool, old man.
No,
It's
no, it is
dirty
not.
Pool. What?
It's not. They both have one.
Oh, true. That's right. That's right.
The Gagne has one with the Kings.
Yeah, Leclerc won one with Pittsburgh.
No, he won it with Montreal.
With Montreal
In
before the
93.
trade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He scored a
before the
major
trade.
overtime winner in was it the conference final or the semifinals? But he scored one of the major OT winners that helped Montreal get out of that round. So
Bada boom.
Thanks, Maddie. I forgot about
I
that.
had to.
No problem.
Sorry, Ted. I had to.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
okay.
I mean, Ted, to be a cup contender, you have to be a playoff team first. And in order to be a cup contender, you have to get into the playoffs. So you got to be one before the other. You can't get to the cup without getting to the playoffs. To give yourself a shot at a cup, you have to get to the playoffs. So it's a step at a time process. You can't be a cup contender before you're a playoff team. It just doesn't work that way. So it's a process. 2 years, you be a playoff team. Whatever happens in that span, it happens. But a year or two after that, maybe you're a cup contender. Because once you get to that part where you're winning again, you're going to attract free agents. You're going to attract that's really the big one.
Players are going to want.
You're going to attract players. You're going to want to be there.
Yeah, players are going to want to play on your team. Look at the Rangers. Well, Kane and Tarasenko took Tarasenko wanted to get traded, but they both had no trade contracts or trades to only certain teams, and they both wanted to go. That all comes from building up your team to a point where everybody wants to go to your team.
Ted saying, okay, now that all 4 of you are back, gotta ask, do you think actor David Boreanaz, Sixers co-owner David Adelman, do you think they buy? No, because Comcast isn't going to sell.
David Adelman cannot.
He can't, actually.
He can't because he owns the Devils.
Oh, so conflict of interest. Okay.
Not even conflict of interest. It's a bylaw the NHL has that if you even own a percentage, even if it's a small percentage of one NHL team, you cannot own any part of any other NHL team.
Okay.
Yeah, of course you can't do that, right?
I mean, that would be crazy because then you'd have owners trying to buy how many teams in the league.
But I will say this, though. I think David Adelman winds up being a backer for Boreanaz, Kimmo Timonen, and Peter Forsberg to all put money in and buy this team.
Be interesting if he did, but I don't know. I don't know if Comcast would sell though. I just don't think they will because they would make money off of the Flyers. So why would they do it?
They make money off the sell too, but I mean, I'm with you, Maddie. I don't think they do, but I do think with David Scott stepping down, I think it does make the situation a little bit better bringing in a Philly guy.
Maybe there'll be enough that maybe they bring in somebody like that. Maybe not David Boreanaz, but maybe they bring in somebody to be the runner of the team, the president of the team. Maybe they do go for Peter Forsberg or a Kimmo Timonen or what have you to go become president. You're pretty much lock and step and working with Danny if you do that. So maybe that's where that goes, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see. Bennett saying Kate's first Flyer about to hit 50 takeaways since G in 2011. Last time I was here, we mentioned Emil Andre just signed his ELC and 2 games in Lehigh Valley, 2 assists already. Playoff next season. What's up, Wills?
Really?
Boy, would have been great if he was here like 20 minutes ago. Good Lord, could you imagine Wills was here?
Yeah. Players exchanging wives and dogs. Anna
Good
Benson getting
Lord.
15 years probation, still ongoing
For being a hoe.
for being a
Would not have
crackhead
been-
hoe.
Would not have been the most ridiculous thing Wills has ever commented on in his time here.
No.
Not at all.
You forgot I produced a lot of those shows.
I think
Yeah,
all
me
three of
too.
us did.
They invented
Yeah.
new rails.
Yeah. Good Lord. I think they got around to Ben Roethlisberger and certain things he did to women, like at least for like a good 3 straight weeks there when Wills first joined A2D. So
Yeah. True.
That's a good time.
Lord.
Truth. That's a throwback. Yeah.
Oh,
Before his gift became a thing.
right.
Ew.
Let's see. Chris saying Senators get into the playoffs this year, calling it from long distance from a payphone using a prepaid card.
Hey,
That was a hot take in the past. That was a hot take of mine. They're still
Listen,
hanging on.
They're still there.
I've been-
The Penguins keep a minute, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
They lost again tonight. They got smoked.
Damn.
Prez, if you had stayed awake and not passed out over the last couple weeks, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, especially.
Red Wings.
I'm saying the same thing. Senators were my hot take of the week, that they find a way to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I still stand by that, even with Chikrin out with a lower body injury.
All right, gentlemen. So with that,
Love it.
any other major things you guys want to talk about, Flyers wise, rebuild wise, or do you want to jump to the third period?
I
Just
said
the-
my piece.
I just want to say one thing. Owen Tippett and Morgan Frost, now at 21 goals and 16 goals, they're starting to really get the job done, and that's good for you guys. I mean, a little tip of the cap there. That's a good thing. Oh, I really liked Owen Tippett. When the Rangers played them, he looked like a very impressive player to me, and he hits the 20-goal mark. That's a good job, and that's something you guys could definitely be excited about.
Gracias.
Yeah, that definitely is. Definitely.
I mean, that's not to get you get rid of Giroux, and you bring a guy like that back. You got him for at least another couple of years before his ELC runs out. So, congratulations on that one. That was a really nice trade that you made.
Agreed.
Yep. And Ted just throwing out that for the tip of the cap. And Chris saying, let's go Tippett. I'm an investor in that young man. Are you more of an Tippett or Connor Verhage? That's what I actually want to know. All right. On to the third period, brought to you by FanUp, the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. They did have daily NFL contests when the season was going. When the next season rolls around, they definitely will. However, they have daily NBA, NHL. They'll have MLB. Season's almost here, so they'll have all that stuff up and ready for you. You can win great prizes if you sign up today and you use the promo code A2D. You get 5,000 bonus points. That is a $50 value that you are getting for free just by using the A2D code. And you go to fanup.app to download it. Make yourself a nice team and start raking in the cash. That's what we're here for. We want you to rake in the dough.
Yeah.
All right then. So, gents, around the league, any major pressing news you guys want to talk about?
The guy on Minnesota. There is a guy in Minnesota. I just don't remember his name, but he has
Matt
now
Boldy.
scored 9 goals in his last 5 games.
Matt Boldy.
Thank you. Yes, that's the one.
Yep.
That's the one. I
And
wanted to
you
give
talk
him. I just wanted to throw a little admiration for that, because that's one hell of a streak.
It really is. It really is. And between the pipes too, you saw Phil Gustafsson give up 1-2-1, like it was 3-1 and 2-1 last week. He had a 0.96 goals against, 9.72 save percentage. Now
Wow.
he's played he's played the short side of a platoon with Marc-Andre Fleury, but still in 34 games, He's second in the NHL in the season with a 2.01 goals against and a 932 save percentage.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah. And what's even better about the whole Matt Boldy situation is Kirill Kaprizov has been out. And he's really stepped up and said, guys, get on my back. I got y'all. And he's really, I think he's got 2 hat tricks in that span as well. In that 5-game span that he has 9 goals. I think he's got 2 hat tricks in there. I know he's got 1 for sure.
Well, that's just 9 goals in 5 games is unbelievable.
He's been ridiculous.
That's a. I mean, you think about that. That's unbelievable. How the hell did he get 9 goals in 5 games? My God,
he's got 2 hat tricks in that span.
Yeah,
that gets
I guess that'll do it. Yeah,
that's 6 right there.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah.
Well, bravo to him.
Yep.
Bravo. And Chris says he's more in Verhage and Kempe. Okay. All right. Well, I do appreciate you dipping your toes to the tippet, so appreciate that.
Yes.
Ted also said Chuck finally won a trade. So
Ooh.
All right.
And real quick, Maddie, one thing. One of those games, the 2-1 game, was against the Devils too, and he had 47 saves. Philip Gustafsson. I mean, Wild. I don't know what their current playoff seeding is. Are they still third?
They're in first place right now.
They are.
Yes, they are.
Ooh. Not surprised.
Now I know Dallas is ahead of Chicago 4-1 in the second period. So
that's a final.
Oh, it's a final now.
That's a final now. Yep.
Okay. Well, as you can see, I was not I haven't followed it all the way. I just happened to change channels and take a look around.
So I have the standings up just for everybody to take a look at. Just a quick update as we get closer and closer and closer to the playoffs, as we're at 74, 5, 3 games played in for teams basically at this point. Starting off in the Metro, Carolina still number 1. The Devils are at 100 points, so the Devils are actually kind of threatening Carolina now to possibly jumping them in the Metro division. The Rangers are 3rd at 98. Obviously, all 3 of these teams have qualified for the playoffs.
By the way, the Rangers play the Devils on Thursday.
So that is
if you notice the 2-point lead that the Devils now have, and even in games played, if the Rangers should win that game, they all of a sudden would be having home ice advantage against the Devils in the playoffs. And I think that makes this a huge game.
Yeah. So if you are a Rangers fan or a Devils fan, you might want to glue your eyes to the television on Thursday for that game.
Yeah, and Carolina is definitely on a little bit of a tailspin.
Right. They lost their last game, so yeah, they're
lost last night. They got shut out by Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they're slipping a little. Not a good thing for them. Moving on, in the Atlantic Division, obviously we don't need to question who's number 1 here. Boston, obviously. Toronto is in a playoff, officially qualified for the playoffs at 97 points. Tampa is behind them by a little bit with 92 points. So right now, that's the setup in the Atlantic. The 2 top wild cards right now is at 85 points, the Islanders, and at 82 points are the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Panthers are still in the hunt at 79, so they're not done yet. They're still trying to fight for a playoff spot. And going off to the West, we have the Minnesota Wild at number 1 in the Central Division. Colorado is at number 2, and Dallas is at number 3. No team has made the playoffs yet in either division. The Pacific Division, the Vegas Golden Knights still sitting at number 1 at 98. The Kings behind them at 96, and the Oilers at 93 are in 3rd. Meanwhile, the Kraken are the number 1 wild card at 88 points, and the Jets are at 85 points. They are the number 2 wild card. And it seems like that's going to be the case because Nashville and Calgary are still pretty low in the points. So that might just stay the way that it is. So with that being said, that is the current standings and the current playoff situation right now for the NHL. So we'll see if anything changes or if any positioning changes by next week. Probably will. So we'll keep that posted for you. Okay, so with that, we move on with Around the League, and we head into the shootout, which is brought to you by none other than Alonzi Travel. If you have any vacation ideas that you want to take, summer is coming up. It'll be here before you know it. We're getting closer and closer to spring. I mean, technically, by calendar, we are in spring. But warmer weather is starting to creep in. And obviously, the summertime will be here before you know it. And you're going to want to get away. So let Alonzi Travel take care of all the little tiny minutiae. You don't have to worry about all that, because that can sometimes add more stress onto your life, planning the actual vacation itself. So Alonzi Travel will specialize in creating the vacation of your dreams, whether it's at Disney, Universal, wherever your heart calls to. Let their talented team of travel experts create a custom vacation for you. And all you have to do is pack, get up, get on the plane, and head to your vacation. That's all you got to do. Very easy. All right, then.
Which I think we got 2 guys here at the station working for them as well. I think Chuck's Moranin from Birds of a Feather and Andy Ritz from In This Very Ring, I believe, work for them. So you can always go through those 2 as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, go talk to those boys and let them take care of that for you. They'll take care of you big time. All right, then. So on to the shootout we go, and we will start things off with the most impressive prospect currently right now. Who wants to start this one out?
You can go first, Robbie, if you want to.
I talked about him before, man. It's Tyson Forrester.
I'm in the same boat. That's who I was going to pick.
I will be contrarian only because Forrester, I could easily pick Forrester. I will go with, I'll go with Tippett. Tippett still falls into the category of a prospect, and I do like what I'm seeing from him. So you know what? I'll go with Tippett.
I will echo the same.
All right, then. So we've got Forsters and Tippetts all around for everybody. Next up, we have the most anticipated prospect for the Flyers.
I'm going to say Bobby Brink. I think for me, he's the most anticipated because he's got a lot of hype surrounding his scoring ability and his creativity in the offensive zone. We got a little sample size last year, but I'm waiting to see this kid full force in a full season. So just hope he gets healthy and he gets up here and see Bobby Brink. He's on the brink.
I agree. Bobby Brink for me too.
Make it 3 because I mean, my only concern, and obviously he's been on his way to recovery from surgery. 5'8", 166 pounds. I mean, he could take a hit, he could dish it out a little bit like Danny B, but will the body hold up? But he's still only 21 years old, out of Minnetonka, Minnesota. I saw that on tonight's broadcast. What a great hometown name, right?
You know what's funny?
Love that.
When I worked for Pure Hockey, they actually have a store in Minnetonka.
Nice.
That is great.
Yeah.
The good hockey town.
Great hockey town.
I mean, ever since getting healthy and playing with Lehigh, he has gotten 33 games down with the Phantoms, 8 goals, 12 assists for 20 points. So he's working his way back slowly, but long term, that's why the anticipation is up for me.
No, I totally agree. I'm with you because, like I said, he's got the ability to score points. He's got the ability to be creative in the offensive zone. He's going to put weight on as he goes. Like you said, Robbie, he's only 21.
Right.
To me, if he puts on 20 pounds of muscle, he's going to be fine.
Sure.
That'll put him at 185 for 5'1". That's kind of a big kid, actually. For he wasn't not 5'1". 5 foot. Did you say 5'11"?
5'8".
5'8".
Yep.
Okay. Size isn't always everything. So, I mean, look at.
That's not what I hear. That's not what I've been told.
Was that by Benson's wife?
The sounds of disappointment. Anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes I've been told too big is too much. I don't know. It goes both ways.
I know a lot
Just
of guys
saying.
would rather have too small than too big.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I'm excited for Brink. I can't wait for him to come up.
Sure.
Okay,
Alright.
I will take Cutter Gauthier. Gauthier.
Good choice.
Nice.
The one that's
Cutter,
in. The one that's
definitely,
in. Only because he's 19. He's going to be in BC probably again next year, right? So, but he's 6'2", 194 pounds. He's a big boy. I think he'll be able to withstand the punishment, and he'll go for he had, from what I heard, he had a good year this year, and it won't hurt him to play another year of college hockey. I mean, it didn't hurt Chris Kreider, Kevin Hayes, and Johnny Hockey, that's for sure.
Nope.
Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, they all three of them played at Boston College, and they played. I think they played 3 years? 3 years there, if I'm not
At least
mistaken,
two.
and it didn't hurt him.
Yeah, no, it was at least 2.
Yeah, I mean, between all three of them, they all played real well. So that must have been one hell of a line, though. Could you imagine 3 NHL players? Whoa,
Crazy.
that must have been a good team.
I will. All right, and I will head us on over to hot take of the week, gentlemen, and I will start this one up. Whatever team gets the number 1 overall pick, they will absolutely fucking botch it. They will try to get cute. They'll pick the not obvious choice, and they'll fuck it up. I know it may sound far-fetched, but you know what? We've seen teams do this. They get cute in the draft, and they make a dumb fucking choice at the end of the day.
Well, the Devils did that a few years ago with Nico Hershier. Everybody thought that they made a big mistake not drafting Patrick, if you remember.
Yeah.
Everybody was killing the Devils. Nico Hershier, whoa, what the hell is wrong with them? And it turned out they were right.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Sure.
All right, gentlemen. Bennett saying FYI Boldy had 2 versus Philly. His 9 goals came on 23 shots. Tippett 30 goals next season. Cutter is heading back to BC next season and will play with Will Smith there.
Yep.
The fact that there is somebody named Will Smith that's playing hockey right now, I wish he was a Flyers player. That would just be perfect, at least in my opinion.
Before I give my hot take of the week here, Brad or Robbie, you could probably confirm this for me. Is there still Will Smith, the pitcher, and Will Smith, the catcher, still playing in Atlanta? Are they still on the same roster?
I don't know.
Damn.
Mm-mm.
Because that was fun. I actually got to see that a couple times last year. Will Smith would come in and close while Will Smith was catching. Yeah. Pretty sure I saw paradox there.
So if somebody in the stands yelled, "Smith, you suck,"
Yeah,
neither one of them would know. They could always say, "Hey, he was yelling at you, not me."
Or they would just be standing there like, "Bro, who are you talking about? We have the same name."
That's like watching Chinese Taipei and being like, "Chang, you suck." They're all Chang.
Yeah.
It's the Smith of Taiwan, Chinese Taipei.
It's a common name. That's all it is.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all
I
it is.
know, but it'd be pretty funny though. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say, despite the fact that there's going to be massive changes in Calgary, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to pull some kind of miracle here and find a way to make the playoffs as the last wild card.
All right.
Only 4 points out.
That's true.
And they have a lead on LA right now, I believe. Still 2-1.
You just made Dylan's night.
Yeah.
So
Dylan loves you now. You're his favorite personality.
we talk
Period.
every day. I'm already his favorite, so you better knock that shit off right now. I already know.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I am not going to jinx the Rangers, guys. I'm not going to say it.
All right. So then,
Good.
what is your hot take?
Good.
I'm not going to sit there and say they're going to be in second place after Thursday night. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to jinx them.
So then,
Because
what is
I
your?
can guarantee you if I say that they will lose. So I am not saying that. Okay, my hot take is that the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to choke away that last playoff spot. Because they're doing
Nice.
everything in their power to not make the playoffs. They are losing every single stinking game. One of these teams is going to wake up and start winning before the season's over and knock those jerks out of the playoffs.
So Florida, stop tripping over your own dick and
Florida
get that spot.
Florida's lost 4 in a row, and I think they're in the beginning of a really tough 4-game road trip. Are they not?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to be easy for them, but
They've been
still,
hurting.
I
They've
still
been
think
hurting since they lost Burnett.
Buffalo is still right there.
Should the Flyers take responsibility for that downward spiral that the Panthers are on since they lost the
Well,
Flyers in Philly?
Yeah,
No.
they did it to Buffalo too.
No, they've been this way all season long, and I'll tell you why. They're inconsistent. Their offense has no pop. It's because they fired Andrew Burnett and hired Paul Maurice. I like Paul Maurice as a head coach.
Yeah.
I like Paul Maurice as a head coach, but firing Andrew Burnett was not a good thing for them.
Bad fit. All right then, Robbie, what you got to close this one out?
I got a humdinger.
Oh boy.
That's what she said.
That's fucking epic. The Flyers will finish with the 7th, maybe even the 8th worst record in the NHL and win the draft lottery.
Oh, I
boy.
like it. I see what you're doing. You're saying you're putting that energy out into the universe so that it wills it into existence. I like it. I see what you're doing. Love it.
It could happen. Anything could happen. I mean, the Rangers got Lafreniere, right?
Right, because Toronto's ping pong ball bounced off the post. So
That's a good one.
Oh, all right then. So on that note, we will say good night to everybody here. We thank you, everybody, for joining us for another edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. To all the fam out there who joined us, all the regulars and all the new ones who chimed in, thank you very much. You are the lifeblood of A2D Radio. We would not be able to do this without you. As one more time, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. If you have any aches and pains, call the doc up and he'll take care of it for you. All right then, everyone. We will see you next week right here on the Hockey Happy Hour. And just a quick check of the calendar. We will have a game to talk about next week. It will be the Flyers going up against the St. Louis Blues. So that will be the team that we will have the Flyers up against. And it will be in St. Louis.
And that's one of the last Flyers live reactions we'll have until we get into playoff hockey.
Oh, yeah, that's true, isn't it? Yeah, the way the season shook out. So, all right, so one last one for the Flyers before the playoffs get up and running. So, all right then. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy out there, and everyone enjoy themselves some hockey, and the playoffs are almost here. So get pumped and get excited because it's almost time. Peace and love, everyone. Take care.